CM Gould, are you female? Were you born biologically female? I'm curious, because if you were, first, second, and third place, all female, I think. Tell ya, the babes love me. Hail Sagan, you are the worst. Although I like Sagan, I don't know if I like hailing Sagan. But I do thank you for that promo you made for me a few years back. I have a Carl Sagan promo where he narrates one of my videos, and I thank Sagan for that. But you're a big loser. You can show yourself to the door. 10,000 Pine Points to CM Gould, 5,000 to Melody, and 1,000 to Jamie. Maybe I'll even convert those into to currency for poker nights, because we need more ladies coming in. But CM Gould, did you answer my question? That'd be cool, because I get, I don't know, 7-8% of people who watch I'm Manly Man. Oh, you're a manly man? Who likes them? Who likes the manly men? Actually, you know what? You need manly men in this world. Who do you want to stand on the front lines? Some person who's scared to get their nails broken? Some person who's saying, do I look fine while they're shooting at me? No. You want a burly, manly man on the front lines, protecting you at night. You've watched that movie. What's it called? You Can't Handle the Truth. What's the name of that movie? With Tom Cruise, Nicholson. Few Good Men. Few Good Men, right? That's it. Okay. This guy here wins the award as the most saddest, depressing Christian of all time. I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't committed suicide. I guess it's because it's a sin to commit suicide, so he would never do that. But this guy is ridiculously sad. Yeah, Few Good Men. That's a great movie. I've been going through... My son wants to be a thespian. And for those of you from Nebraska, thespian means actor. And so my son wants to be an actor. So I said, hey, if you want to be an actor, you got to appreciate the classics. You have to watch movies from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, you know, back in the 1900s, and see how acting is done. The last movie I showed him was Rocky. He'd never seen Rocky 1. And Rocky 1's not about boxing. It's a love story. I mean, I teared up. I mean, the cold-hearted, dead person I am teared up of that love story. And by the way, if you look at the history of Sylvester Stallone and how he became a thespian, how he became a screenwriter, it's quite the story. That guy was like nutso as a kid. I guess he just was misunderstood and wanted to be loved. But anyhow, I think this guy's misunderstood and wanted to be loved. Listen to this guy.
Because going to suffer so terribly. And we laugh now, but they will come after us. They will come after our children. They will close the net around us while we are playing soccer, mom, and soccer.
He's saying people are going to come after us. Who's us? The Christians come after our children. Who's coming after your children? Paul Washer? Who? It's not me.
Dad, while we are arguing over so many little things and mesmerized by so many trinkets, the net even now is closing around you and your children and your grandchildren, and it does not cause you to fear.
I think what he's talking about is the evil secularists. They're casting a net around your children, your grandchildren, the Christian grandchildren, and you stupid Christian parents are just unaware of what's happening.
You will be isolated from society.
Yeah, this is a bad recording. I got his volume full blast. Let me turn it up even. I think I can turn it up a scotch more.
As has already happened. Anyone who tries to run for office who actually believes the Bible will be considered a lunatic.
Well, anybody who believes the Bible and runs for office will be considered a lunatic. Duh. Yes, of course. Paul Washer. The gospel's foolishness to the world, to those who are perishing. It boggles my mind that they say stuff that's supposed to be shocking, yet their own scriptures preach it.
Until finally we are silenced.
Silence.
We will be called things that we're not and persecuted not for being followers of Christ, but for being radical fundamentalists who do not know the true way of Christ, which of course is love and tolerance. You'll go down as the greatest bigots and haters of mankind in history.
And that's to be expected, right? Your own scriptures warn you of this, that you'll be persecuted for Christ's sake.
They've already come after your children, and for most of you, they got them. They got them through the public schools and indoctrination, and the university and indoctrination, and then you wonder why your children come out not serving the Lord. It's because you fed them right into the devil's mouth.
Woo! You fed them into the devil's mouth. They got your children, and who's to blame? The parents, because you fed them into the devil's mouth by sending them to public schools and university systems. But this is a little confusing to me, because I thought I was under the misguided impression that no one can pull your children away from the Father's hands. That God has them sealed. He's put his stamp of approval on them. Your children are one of the elect. What's he talking about? Do you think I can steal your kids away from God? You think I have that power? Am I more powerful than God? What's he talking about? And then I thought, well, maybe he's not a Calvinist, but I sure think he leans that way. Let me see here. I got the transcript up. All you have to do is search the word grace. Yeah, here it is.
To see if you are in faith.
Oh man, this is even more quiet than the other one.
Because I want you to know, my friend, salvation is by faith alone. It is a work of God. It is a grace upon grace upon grace. But the evidence of conversion is not...
Yeah, so here's the transcript. I want you to know, my friend, salvation is by faith alone, is the work of God. So if your children are not saved, it's because of what God didn't do. Don't blame the secularists. Man, you're a sad man.
So little by little, the net is closing around, and then it...
Kenny, is that true? Washer is 100% Calvinist? Well, yeah, if he's 100% Calvinist, then what is he going on about? Everything that's happening is part of God's plan, his decree. He wanted it to happen. Every Christian parent who's a fan of this guy, please know that your kids are going to hell because that's what God wanted. Oh, hurts, doesn't it? That's the God you worship and serve.
Little by little, look how fast things are going downhill just in a matter of weeks. Matter of weeks. But at the same time, know this. Persecution is always meant for evil, but God always means it for good.
Persecution is always meant for evil, but God means it for good. You sure about that? Doesn't God want and decree some persecution? It's not just he's using bad things for good. He actually wants persecution and commands it. So therefore it's good by definition, yes? I tell you, these guys have been doing this for decades. And a schmuck like me can come along and just go, right?
And is it not better to suffer in this life, to have an extra weight of glory in heaven?
This is why you suffer, Christians. You want this persecution because you get an extra, he said extra weight, an extra ounce, an extra milligram of glory in heaven. Well done, good and faithful servant. Well, thank you, Lord. You know, I was persecuted for you. I went on the PineCreek channel show one day and I preached the word and he got mad. That PineCreek guy, he got mad at me, called me a bad name, an idiot. He did. He said that. Well, my faithful servant, because PineCreek called you a bad word, I'll tell you what, your mansion will be poolside. You know, the communal pool? Yeah, you get a view right at the pool.
You must settle this in your mind. This is the one thing I want to say over and over. Do not believe. Down through history, you have a wrong idea of martyrdom and persecution. You think that these men were persecuted and martyred for their sincere faith in Jesus Christ. That was the real reason, but no one heard that publicly. They were martyred, and they were persecuted as enemies of the state.
Whoa. He's saying throughout history, the martyrs that you hear about, they weren't martyred because of their faith in Jesus, even though that's what they believe. From the outsider's perspective, from the state's perspective, they were martyred because they were enemies of the state. Uh-oh. But Jonathan McClatchy just said, I know Christianity is true, or my confidence is high that Christianity is true because of all the martyrdom. Well, they weren't martyred because they believed Jesus Christ rose from the dead. They were martyred because they were enemies of the state. They were causing trouble, the sedition. Paul Washer's admitting this here. Uh-oh. We got troubles.
Child molesters, as bigots, as narrow-minded, stupid people who had fallen for a ruse and can contribute nothing to society.
That's not true. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you can't fix my plumbing. True story. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you can't prune my trees. I understand you have that capability. And let me be fair. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you can't do my taxes. Although I use TurboTax. Everything's simple nowadays.
Suffering will not be noble. So your mind must be filled with the Word of God when all people persecute you and turn on you. And if the Spirit of God in common grace pulls back and you see even your children and your grandchildren tossing in the lot that you should die.
Your own children will say, kill my parents because they're wacky Christians.
This is no game. You want revival and awakening, but know this. For the most part, great awakenings have come only preceding great national catastrophes or the persecution of the church. I believe God is bringing a great awakening, but I believe that He is raising up young men who are strong in trust in the providence of God to be able to wade through the hell that's going to break loose on us. And it will be on us before we even recognize it.
All because God wanted it.
Unless in God's providence, He is not done.
God's in control.
He is not done.
So why are you scaring these poor people about all these terrible things that will happen to you?
Now, note, this is not silly talk.
Note that when you have to tell people this is not silly talk, then maybe it is silly talk.
From a great awakening, these things are going to come upon you. Be ready to lose your homes, your cars, and everything.
You're going to lose your homes, your cars, and everything. You notice He put homes and cars in front of your life? I mean, you're supposed to lose your homes and cars. Jesus said, give everything away to the poor. Well, definitely the poor that ask for it, right? My goodness. Yeah, he comes in second place for the next saddest. Actually, he's not sad and depressing like this guy. This stuff would terrify me as a kid. Yeah, Jamie? If there's any young Christians listening, by the way, if you're under 18 years old and you're listening to my channel, go tell your parents what you're doing. You shouldn't be here. But if you are young, let's say between 18 and 22 in there somewhere, and you're listening to a guy like this and he terrifies you, let me give you some encouragement and hope. Ignore this guy. Because even if he's right, there's nothing to worry about. It's all in God's hands. And if he's wrong, then he's just spouting hot steam. Either way, there's nothing to worry about, right? And let me chastise the atheists a little bit here. Some of you atheists sound like this guy. This guy is proclaiming and this fear of these evil non-Christians are coming for you. They're coming for your kids. There's going to be great persecution. I've heard atheists say this about Christian nationalists, about rounding up the atheists, putting them in camps. I've heard this type of fear-mongering too. Now, let me be clear. Those atheists could be right. And let me be clear. This Paul Washer guy could be right. But I'm an atheist, and I have no desire, and I would not support any type of killing or taking a private property just because you believe wacky things. And let me be clear, you do believe in wacky things. You believe Jesus is going to return on a white horse to collect his children in the sky. To me, that's wacky. And you should agree with that and understand why I would think that. Okay, so that's, I want to go, let's go to the next one here. I just saw this mere moments ago, and IP is at it again. He's causing doubt in Christians here by saying that there's no real prophecies in the Old Testament. He doesn't come out and say it that way, but take a listen.
Analogy. For those out there that don't know, Matt Dillahunty and others have talked a lot about the Spider-Man analogy, which says, hold on, if you guys are saying, look at all this stuff we see in the Gospels from Luke and all that, that's like really specific locations, names, the types of work that somebody's doing, the right term, depending on where you're at, all of that. So this gives us great reason to trust the Gospels. And then somebody like Matt Dillahunty steps up and says, hold on, what if in 2,000 years we said, hey, look, here's
a great point, Solar Watcher 86. I thought the same thing, and thanks for the donation. People who don't have their candidate in office for 6 months and their whole worldview changes. Yes. I have a feeling that if Trump were to be reelected into office, don't think that can't happen, by the way. Paul Washer would all of a sudden have this epiphany from God that there's hope, that there's revival in the air, that there's a change in the smell, in the atmosphere.
You're writing about New York City. It's got the Empire State Building, the Statue of Liberty. Here's where it is. Here's the names of the streets. Therefore, there's a good case to be made that Spider-Man's true.
No. What guys like Matt Dillahunty and guys like myself, whenever Christians say, archaeology proves the Bible's true, we say things like, sure, maybe there's some things that the Bible says that can be demonstrated through archaeology to be true. But that doesn't mean this other thing is true. That's it. That's all. So whenever you as a Christian are tempted, or even a Muslim are tempted to say, but the Quran or the Bible says this and this is true, we verified it when we dug something up, just tell yourself, but that doesn't mean the moon split in two, right? That doesn't mean Jesus walked on water, right? And get the Christian to gently say, nod their head and say, yeah, that's correct. And they will eventually.
Takes place in New York City. Your thoughts first?
Yeah, we know Spider-Man is fiction. If you're going to ask people 40 years after Spider-Man was written, people are going to say, well, this is a work of fiction. Yeah. People that were writing about Jesus wrote about him as if he was an historical figure. Every early Christian did. Tacitus did. Pliny, Lucian.
Did these historians say that Jesus walking on water is historical? I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Maybe some of them did say that this is a historical event. But nobody's, well, I shouldn't say nobody. Very few people deny that Jesus, the man, the myth, wasn't real. There's some people who think that, and I understand why they think that. But to me, it's irrelevant whether Jesus, the man, existed or not, because I don't believe the other stuff is real. So it's no skin off my buttocks. But for Christians, of course, if Jesus didn't exist, then it's game over for them. But you have to separate Jesus the man from Jesus the Christ. Almost everybody on the planet believes that Jesus the man is historical. But now listen carefully, Christians. The majority of people on the planet that think Jesus the Christ is myth. Yeah, you heard me. The majority of the planet thinks Jesus Christ, the man who walked on water, healed the lame, the sick, and rose from the dead, is a myth. Not even Muslims believe that Jesus rose from the dead. Myth.
They all wrote about him as if he was a historical person. So that right there shows you this is a bad analogy to begin with. And second of all, the story of Christianity about a dead and resurrected Messiah does not fit with the Jewish background of what they were expecting when the Messiah was supposed to
Okay, now this is important. Listen very closely to what IP is saying here, and think about Old Testament prophecies of that Jesus has to be the Messiah. Jesus has to be God. I apologize for that. Oh, hang on. That could be Yahweh. Yeah, it is. It's actually not Yahweh. It's Jesus. He says, sorry I can't be there today. Got other errands to run. My pool was low on chlorine, so I had to pick up some 3-inch pucks. But looking forward to your next live stream. Yay, I always love PineCreek. Well, thanks, Jesus. That's nice of him.
And second of all, the story of Christianity about a dead and resurrected Messiah does not fit with the Jewish background of what they were expecting when a Messiah was supposed to come. They were expecting a conqueror, someone who's going to defeat Rome. And
you guys hearing what he's saying here? He's saying that basically almost everything Jesus was, as described in the New Testament, was not expected based on the Old Testament. Bye-bye prophecies. Wasn't prophesied that Jesus would be meek and mild and not conquer the world when he comes. Wasn't prophesied that Jesus would rise from the dead. This was unexpected. By the way, the conquering part, that's why Jesus has to return, because he didn't get it right the first time.
And instead they got somebody who preached that we were all sinners, that even many of the Jews had become sons of Satan, which does not fit with that at all, and that he was going to die for their sins and then rise, and that would prove he's going to be the Messiah. It's completely an anomaly in terms of the background.
Yeah.
Die and rise, completely anomaly, according to the background. Completely unexpected. See, it's a catch-22. I understand the conundrum these Christians are in, because they will say on the one hand that if it was completely expected, then guys like me could say, well, they just penciled it in then. But if it's completely unexpected, then how do you tie it to the Old Testament? Maybe these Orthodox Jews are correct that Jesus is not the Messiah as prophesied about in the Old Testament? I don't know. It's just a mess. Anyhow, that's all I wanted to say today, that Paul Washer is very, very sad. He might need to be on suicide watch, and that say goodbye to prophecies. Actually, let's see what this guy has to say here.
Yeah. And I haven't heard any of them make this case, so hopefully I'm not strawman in their position. But I mean, I think about just think about it kind of practically here. Like, during the time in the first century too, during the time of Jesus, the disciples, the first Christians, they were willing to die.
Here it is again.
Right, before the truth.
You know, I've recently been hearing this so often, like from Jonathan McClatchy I think to him, this is like a main thing, this martyrdom. Apologia has a great video on the martyrdom. I got a pretty good one too, where Camille comes in. Just ask Christians, how do you know so-and-so was martyred for their beliefs in the resurrection of Jesus? How do you know that? How do you know they actually saw that Jesus rose from the dead with their own eyes? How do you know they had a chance to recant from that and live? And how do you know that they didn't recant and died for that specific belief? How do you know this? I guarantee you about 90 to 95% of Christians couldn't answer that question. How they know? Well, J.R. Warner Wallace told me that. I read a book once, and he said that. But did you actually, look into the history of it? And then keep in mind, guys like this will say, in fact, in this video here, that they were not martyred for the belief in the resurrection. They were martyred for sedition, for causing trouble. Uh-oh. Anyhow, I'm going to open up the room, and maybe let's do 1 hour of calls, and if nobody calls, that's great. And if somebody calls, that's great too. And the way you do that is you click on the link that I'm about to put in the live stream chat. There it is. And I gotta apologize here. Gotta apologize to the street epistemology people. What I did, what was it, yesterday? No, 2 days ago. What I did 2 days ago was kind of bad, I think. What happened was 2 days ago, the street epistemology channel were taking in callers. I was minding my own business, oblivious that they were even live streaming. But then I saw it on my YouTube feed, and I saw Jonathan McClatchy there. And I had, like, Jonathan and I go way back. I've known Jonathan McClatchy. He's known me for probably, 5-6 years. And here's my chance to talk to Jonathan. So I clicked on the thing, and they let me in. So it's partly their fault for letting me in the first place, because you know what you're getting if you let me in. And then I did the Flying Man with Jonathan, if you didn't see it. But yeah, I kind of took up 10 to 15 minutes of their time. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. Now, I was going horribly before you joined, though. Yeah, well, the thing is, it is their show, though. And I think for some people, my method is a little too abrasive, even though I was as calm as a cucumber on purpose, trying to be very low key. But I still won't let Jonathan bloviate. Like, I think some of them there would more likely allow him to bloviate. I don't think he thought he was toast, Troy, but I think when Jonathan saw me there, well, he smiled. He knew things were about to change. But yeah, it's for people who think that they've debunked the Flying Man so many times, it just tells me they have no clue what the Flying Man thought experiment is about. And if you don't know what it's about number one, consistency. Number two, to see where your belief switch turns on. Number three, to focus the cumulative case step by step. Just randomly, those are 3 reasons why I do it. Now, if you want to be hypercritical of me, you could say another reason why I do it is to show the inconsistency of their epistemology, how they believe the Bible's true in one specific case, but very similar evidence in another specific case, they're not so likely to believe it. It's because it's contained within the Bible. The Bible's special sauce. But the room's open. Links up. Yeah. As with Satan, you know what you're getting when you let PineCreek on. All you're doing, Doug, is you're just mimicking the evidence we have for Christianity. Yes, you get it. I'm mimicking evidence for Christianity. That's exactly what I'm doing. So whenever a Christian says that the Flying Man is nothing like Christianity, you have told me that your IQ is low in this area. You've just come out and said it. Because I can make it exactly the way you want it to be. This is why you should not use actual historical things, like examples in the past, because you cannot manipulate it. But in this thought experiment, you can manipulate it to what you want. And if someone says, well, okay, Doug, you just said it, it's not historical, you're missing the point. It's a thought experiment. And I understand that there are some people on the planet who are incapable of doing it. It's like me giving a baseball to someone and asking them, okay, throw a 100-mile-an-hour pitch. You can't expect them to do it. Hey, Paul.
Doug?
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I was just wondering if you'd heard about the agnostic dyslexic insomniac.
No.
He stayed awake all night wondering if there was a dog.
Good one. Thanks for calling in, Paul. My guess is you're not a Christian or a Muslim. You're an unemployed comedian. You like my poo for drown question, John? Yeah, that one's purposely designed to pit moral tuitions of the Christian against their deities, to make them feel icky. It's an appeal to emotion. I don't make any apologies for it. Did God know what Satan would do before he created him? Of course, if he's omniscient. Well, no, some open theists say he only knows the present and the past, not the future. The future doesn't exist. But most Christians would say he did. Yes, you missed the awards already. You have to rewind it. Paul Washer was the winner. The most depressing Christian I've ever seen in my life. And I've listened to a lot of Christians talk, a lot of pastors, preachers. Would I ever talk to Greg Locke again? No, of course I would. Like, he's not too crazy. You think Greg Locke is any more crazy than this guy? Hang on. Is Greg Locke any more crazy than this guy? Or this guy? Or this guy? All three of them believe a man rose from the dead, walked on water, and will be returning on a white horse. Well, maybe he doesn't believe the white horse part. Now, Greg Locke is a little more flamboyant in his rhetoric than these three. These three could learn a lot from Greg Locke. I bet you Greg Locke makes more money than these three. Well, maybe not this guy now, because this guy focuses on the culture and he's getting good views on that sort of thing. He uses like famous people and ties it to Christianity. Paul Washer's preaching is just pure emotional abuse. Yeah, especially for young people, scaring them into I don't know what. But if he's a Calvinist, it's like you're scaring people because of what God didn't do or what God did do. When did you speak to Greg Locke? Ray, you didn't know I spoken to Greg Locke? That was like one of my first interviews ever on YouTube. No, it was on a different platform. It was on Fire's Talk. I forget what it was. Let me see if I can find it. Greg Locke. By the way, this is the video that my dad found out I was an atheist. Greg Locke, PineCreek. He saw this. Oh yeah, here it is. Look at that.
Yeah. Cool. Do you know? First of all, thank you so much for. So I promised them I'd be bringing it before they all went to bed. So yeah, you know, whether it's a doorknob or your
he was
individuals, we're not...
he was a lot lower key in this video. He sounded sort of like any other Christian.
And in regards to,
yeah, I don't know. I don't want to watch it, but there it is. It's called Outsider Test of Faith interview with Greg Locke. And this is September 3rd, 2016. Almost 6 years ago. Paul Washer scaring people for their 10%. I'm not so sure that's true. Like, I think Paul Washer actually believes the stuff he says and he's not in it for the money at all. I think he's just sickly wrong. I think he probably had some experience that made him so passionate. My guess is he might have died almost. Usually people who are so passionate about this stuff almost died and they believe Jesus saved them. What's his testimony? Paul Washer, personal testimony.
Otto died when, and he was everything for my father. And I wasn't a victim. I was a culprit. And although
I was so bad, I'm so bad, I'm so bad. Let me see if I do the transcript, search for the word death. He's a victim of his father. Oh, his father died. I ended up being kicked off the basketball team that I was captain of, just all sorts of things. Now, people looked at that and said, wow. They looked at that and they said, this poor kid, you see, I've been taught to think he's a victim of his father's death. My father's death gave my wicked flesh the opportunity to do what they always wanted to do. Ah, so his dad died and he went nuts. Oh boy, did he see his dad die as a 17-year-old?
And so things were going well. And one day we were working on the ranch. I had just turned 17 and we were running wire. Now here in Rhode Island, you may not know what that is, but you take a big roll of barbed wire and you run a steel pole through it, and one man gets on one side and the other gets on the other, and you're running wire to build a fence for horses or cattle. And we're talking as we're walking along. We're even laughing. We're having a good time. And all of a sudden he screamed. And when he screamed, I caught him. And we both fell.
Ah, come on. This is so painful. This explains everything. I honestly did not know this when I reviewed this video. But he caught his own dad dying. His own dad fell in his own hands.
Fell to the ground. And when I rolled him over, he was dead. He had died of a massive heart attack. Now, at that point, everything in my life changed.
Yeah, I believe it. That explains him. You know, and people think I philosophize too much. But now you understand, right? Now when you see this, you think this. You understand where he's coming from. I think I got this right. His own dad fell dead in his arms.
Everything. I wasn't a Christian, but I was kind of known as a good guy, you know.
I'll be with you in a second, Sam.
Within a matter of weeks, I would come to school drunk. I ended up getting...
Yeah. Started hitting the booze to deal with the pain. And then he found Jesus. Tell ya, Christians, if you want to get more converts, target the people who just lost their parents, who are drinking, or alcoholics. Okay, Sam. You there, Sam?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You're a little bit quiet though.
Oh, is it better now?
Just put your mouth right against the mic.
Oh, I'm using my AirPods. Is it okay, better now? Or?
Yeah, just keep talking. I'll let you know if I can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just I called in before, like I'm an atheist or agnostic, whatever. I'm culturally Hindu. Okay, so I have a beef with you.
You have a beef with me?
A little bit. Yeah, I'm just spice it up a little bit, right?
Okay.
Yeah, why do you do this? Like, it gives hope, meaning, and purpose to the people. Right? Even though I don't really believe in God, but if there is no God, I don't see any purpose. Like, what the hell are we doing? Like,
now, are you playing devil's advocate? Are you playing devil's advocate?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But it's more fun. It's more fun that way. What are we doing here if there is no God?
Well, this gives me hope, meaning, and purpose, taking away the hope, meaning, and purpose of others.
Yeah, but this doesn't. I'm a nice guy. Like, I'm not a mean guy.
No, I say that in jest, but
yeah,
I do. What am I doing here? I asked that question, that same question many times, and I enjoy this, and I enjoy talking to people. And some people have told me that I've helped them.
No, I completely hear you. Like, I'm not questioning, like, what are you doing here specifically, personally, but what are we doing here as humanity if there is no God?
Oh, we are just following our programming and trying to survive.
That sucks. It's like we and bacteria and viruses.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what's that?
reality
Like,
sucks
why
sometimes.
reproduce? Why reproduce? Why live at that point?
Well,
Like, there's no point in living.
no point. Well, I am enjoying myself right now.
Yeah, but if you died, you will be fine too. Like, I mean, it's
Yeah, that's true too.
yeah, but you're not enjoying as much as you could. Like, you have bounds, right? You have limitations. You respect other people. Like, you could enjoy yourself much more if there were no limitations on you.
But does limitations have to do with anything?
No, like, I mean, if you could do whatever you want, you could probably enjoy yourself more.
No. It's
I
the
think, I mean,
no. It's limitations that actually brings some of this hope, meaning, and purpose on to people.
yeah, maybe.
It's
Yes.
having
Yeah, I
goals
just
and
think,
overcoming it. If everything was easy and there was no limitations and you just got whatever you wanted, oh man, you'd be depressed.
true, but I just like, I mean, I do, like, I'm not religious, but I understand the religious people, like, because without religion, we are like, there's no difference between us and bacteria or viruses. It's just, we are just there, living, breathing
Well,
cells, and we'll die, and that's we move on.
humans can do calculus, viruses can't.
But so what? What if you calculus? So what does that mean?
I understand what you're
Right.
getting at, and I understand what this is why religion exists. It's to help humans survive. Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
without religion, it's like I mean, I don't
And
believe in
I have
God, and I don't.
I have said that atheists, in a sense, are freaks of nature.
Yeah, and I honestly, I do feel that it depends on how you're brought up. Like, I know you were brought up in a Christian family, and then you became an atheist. Like, for me, my family, like, they weren't atheists, but they were not religious. They were just, okay, fine, whatever. Like, if you want to believe, believe. If you don't. But it, like, to me, like, if I kind of start thinking through it, if I don't believe in God, what's going on? Like, I can just do
Yeah. Okay,
whatever
but
I
now,
want. There's
but
no,
just keep pretending you're a theist.
yeah.
How does heaven change any of this? How does the
It's
existence of a
not
God
about,
change any of it?
but then there's something to strive for.
Like what?
Like heaven.
Yeah, but once you get there, then what are you going to strive for?
But because then your mindset is changed, and there's nothing, like, you don't even think like I am right now. Like, you're not thinking about
So
the
maybe you
next
can
step.
maybe you can be an atheist with your mindset changed, and then you don't have that problem.
Yeah, so in the heaven, I'm not even thinking about these things. I'm perfectly
How do you
content
know
with.
that?
I don't know. That's why I'm an atheist, right? I
Yeah.
don't know that probably. But I'm just thinking through, like, as an atheist, I don't see a purpose. I
Yeah.
just live. I try
What's
to do
the?
the best I can.
But someone can say the same thing about even being a theist. What's the purpose? Well, it's to glorify God. Well,
No, not
why?
to glorify God, to reach heaven,
Okay. Why is that
or
the
to reach,
pinnacle?
or to reach, like, if I was raised a Hindu, right?
But
So
this is
in the
something.
Hindu thing,
But this is. I know every religion or most religions have
yeah,
something like that. But the thing is, they take this unfalsifiable thing that you can't demonstrate and say, okay,
yeah,
this is the goal.
yeah.
And the thing is that if you even imagine that goal being reached, okay, you're in heaven. Now what? Well, now we just
No, but
worship
then
God for eternity.
no. But the thing is, when you reach heaven, now what doesn't even enter your mind? You're done.
So you don't think people will think these things?
No, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if people don't even, like, once you reach that, what, like, in
So in other words,
Hinduism
heaven
they
is a
call,
type of thinking death.
yeah, exactly. Right, you're at bliss. Like, it's
So
that's it.
really
It's an
theists who
end.
believe in heaven are just kind of like atheists, except their souls will just be
Yeah.
tormented with other forever, even in heaven.
No, but it's like there's an end goal, at least. Like, there's a goal. Like, with atheists, there's no goal. You're just
Sure, there's
living.
goals.
You're doing, like, what's the goal?
But for some people, it's to bowl 300.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are goals, but theists can have the same goal.
Yeah.
So what? You bowled 300. So what? You hit 70.
So what? You go to heaven. So what?
That seems like a good thing.
Well, bowling 300 seems like a good thing.
Not compared to heaven.
No, it's way better than going to heaven.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Look, in heaven,
bowling 300 is
whatever
way
you-
better than heaven. I'll make that claim.
no. Your mind, okay, this is how the heaven is described. And I don't believe in any of this, but the way it's described is you're at complete peace. You have no wants, you have no desires, you have no regrets.
Oh, that is
It's
hell.
complete-
No wants, no desires, no goals. That is the definition of hell. If that's what heaven's like, then heaven is hell.
Why?
Do I have to explain this to you? This is
No,
what
please,
this
you-
is
you
what
don't need
makes
to
humans thrive and push forwards. It's having
No.
that things to overcome, challenges to overcome. And if heaven is this place where there's
So why
nothing to
do I wanna
overcome, then
overcome
heaven is
challenges?
hell.
Well, why do I want to overcome challenge? What's okay if I overcome the biggest challenge I have? What doesn't matter? Like what does it matter?
Well,
I
if it doesn't
overcame
matter
it.
to you, then it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So why am I living?
But I'm asking you, why would heaven matter even more?
Because in heaven, there is no next step. You are done. Like this is
Okay, so heaven is
end.
basically like death.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay, so you're in the same
is
boat as the
better.
atheists.
maybe I am. I don't know. I don't know. That's-
Anyhow, I got
I
VJ.
don't believe in
I got a
All
second
right, see you
former
later.
Hindu who wants to come on.
Oh, yeah. I'm better than him, by the way.
You're better than him? Okay, well, take
Yes.
care.
All right. See you later. Bye.
VJ. VJ.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Sam is better than you. Did you know that? Did you know Sam was better than you?
I just found out now. I just got the news, so might as well just end it.
Yeah, I don't know what you can say. Like, he's so good, but let's give you a chance. Maybe you'll say something smart.
It's surprising that an alleged atheist of Indian descent is saying this. I called a while ago about Nupur Sharma and people being murdered simply for defending a right to speech. And another person also got murdered the other day. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. How is what you do not probably the most important thing that we can do for mankind?
What I do?
Yeah, what you do. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is to push back against, not to.
Sam
not
was
to blow
wrong.
Vietnam.
Sam was wrong. You are the smartest person I've had on today.
But yeah, I don't see these are the types of people that no offense to you, Sam, if you're still listening, but I think people like you are worse than religious people, because at least Doug here is doing something and fighting, which is what I think is a rot in society.
Okay, but let's be a little charitable here. There are people in
Sure.
society who I think desperately need this, like this Paul Washer
I
guy.
agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
his
But
own
see,
dad
the
died in
moment-
his arms.
The moment you make this world as, I guess, the less important one, as a pit stop on the what Sam was saying, life is, heaven's this and that. You've now reduced the value of whatever it is that you're doing here and the consequences therein.
Yeah.
That is a horrifying proposition, because now you can justify just about anything because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like in India, we have Christian settlements going back to 1000 AD. They claim it's a lot longer. When the Dutch came, they were the first ones to enslave fellow Indians. We didn't have the concept of slavery, but they do. Christians and Muslims do, and they enslaved and sold us off into Dutch slavery. That's why religion is important, Sam. You're allegedly an Indian descent. So hey, Deepak, namaste.
Do you guys know each other?
I think I've seen him in the comments. I comment as no name. every now and then.
You're no name. Okay, yes, then I do.
Yes. I'm.
Are you the guy I mistakenly blocked?
No,
Oh.
no. I think there's a few no names, and I'm the one that got away.
Did you know Deepak here is the smartest East Indian on the planet?
I did not know that. I'm learning a lot of things today.
Yeah.
And I'm questioning my place in this world. So
There can only be one.
all hail Doug, Yeah, I guess so. Thank you, Lord and Savior. You have shown
This
me
is
the
cool.
true
I
path.
got 3 former Indian, Hindus, right? You were Hindu, right? Deepak and VJ?
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
sorry.
I mean, like, Hindu and
That's what I was trying to tell you. Like, atheist and Hindu are not exclusive, mutually exclusive. You can be an atheist and a so-called Hindu. Hindu is not even an Indian word; it's a Persian word. We have what we call atheistic ideologies.
But they're the
going back
minority,
to
though,
mid-
right?
I mean, you know what Sam just said, right? Yeah, you can be an atheist. That's the majority of people in India. They don't really care. Yeah, they're the minority, but if you're an atheist, nobody really cares. Like,
yeah,
okay,
he's a bit
cool,
right
good
about
for
that.
you.
There's even been politicians who were like Hindus but
They're
atheists.
openly atheists. Yeah, like there are plenty of them. Yeah, nobody cares. Like they care more that what you do and how you comport yourself.
Yeah, it's really weird religion. It matters more what you do. Like I've literally had my parents tell me, they don't even care if I believe or not. Just go to the temple.
And if you ask them why,
I mean, I've gone to the temple, and the priest said, who is your first god is your parents. They're more about like, so not to say that you should blindly obey or anything, but the idea is more about conducting yourself well, conducting yourself with propriety, doing good dharma, which is a hard concept to translate, so I'm not even going to go into it. But be a good person, if I can essentially boil it down to. And of course, there's going to be discussions about what that includes. But by and large, we're pretty live and let live. We have open gay people, transgender people. We don't. We're actively working against.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far.
It's a fact. Actually, we have the one of the governors, or they call him central minister over there, opened up a corps in police regiment for transgender cops in UP. I don't know if you know about that, Deepak.
So if you wear
Yeah.
a T-shirt says I like sucking dick, and you walk down the streets of Bombay, nothing bad
that
will happen
would
to you?
probably be just fine.
No,
Yeah,
no, that's
yeah.
not true.
Mumbai
That
especially,
wouldn't
they do all sorts of craziness. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think someone would pull you over, like just like they pull you over in New York. I've seen people in Chicago getting pulled over for wearing something like "baby mama." I don't even like it, but like I've seen people get pulled over everywhere for doing stuff. Like
Someone's gonna clip what I
I
just
will say
said.
India is a weird mixture of like regressive, sexual oppression, but also at the same time trying to come to terms with, like, you'll see Bollywood, which has all sorts of, the same shit you'd see in a Hollywood movie, but then you can't really get away with, wearing a bikini in the streets, maybe on a beach, nobody cares, but
Okay,
especially if you're going to Goa or somewhere. But yeah,
Tell me the good parts about religion, VJ and Deepak.
I don't even call Hinduism a religion, because how can it be atheist and also theist, polytheist, hedonist,
Okay,
materialist?
what
all
are
of
some good
these
things about
vast-
Christianity?
I think it gives people meaning and purpose. I think like someone like Rebecca actually gets a net benefit from Christianity, like helps her out.
I guess it gives comfort to people, but I think it does so at the expense of your logical faculties, your humanity, your own, like a sense of empathy.
Yeah, I think that's kind of true, but it's also true that people manage to compartmentalize, right? Like you have like brilliant scientists.
Hopefully, you're putting a lot of faith, but then you run into jihadis and crazy Christians who go around saying, "Oh no, the Lord." I was chatting with a guy on Instagram, a Christian from Kerala. We have a lot of them. We're trying to talk to him. He's like, "Yes, all gods are false. You're gonna burn in hell." That's it. And every other comment quote from.
Okay, but no, I want to focus in on the good parts of Christianity here,
Sure.
or even Islam. We'll leave Hinduism out of it.
There are any. I don't think there are.
Christianity, Doug. I really do. I said this. I think were you there when we were talking with Jordan, and I said this. Like, I think the parts of the New Testament I find like really moving, even if I read them now. Like the Sermon on the Mount, and the part in Corinthians about love and was it faith, hope, and love. I think that's like amazingly strong moral message, and I think that part has made a difference for the good in history.
How about you, VJ?
I would disagree.
No, VJ, don't disagree. Don't push back. I'm forcing you to do what you don't want to do. I want you to defend and promote Christianity here. What are some good parts about Christianity besides the comfort and what Deepak said about some nice verses about?
I guess it fosters a sense of community.
Yes.
And like unity.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's a good thing. But okay. All
right, no, don't push
again.
back. Don't say that.
All right.
Sometimes this is a good exercise to just go against your.
Sure. It breaks down borders, right? It becomes less about individual differences and more about, it's a universalist kind of ideology. It promotes, I guess, penury. I don't know I guess you could make an argument that humility and not being overly greedy is a good virtue that you should, pursue, or you should imbibe those values.
It prevents people from raping sometimes.
Hopefully.
Okay. All right, Doug. You are really.
Don't fight the urge, VJ. Fight it. No, I think there's out of the billions of people who've ever lived on the planet, I think at least one person is not raped because they truly believe God was watching.
No, but you could certainly make that argument, and you can make that argument for any number of ideologies, but you're arguing or you're ignoring the overwhelming evidence that,
Oh, and art and music.
What art?
Yeah. That's a great example. Yeah. Art, what do you mean what art? Like cathedrals, right? Like if you ever been
the Sistine Chapel.
Like, the Sistine Chapel, yeah.
Sure.
Music.
Okay.
Amy Grant.
Amy Grant is
Michael W. Smith.
I don't know these references, but
they're famous Christian singers from the 80s. What is the
pop singer, right? Didn't she sing like
place in this world? Remember that one? No.
Malia Jackson. Even Elvis, right?
Elvis, yeah. Where would Elvis be
without the devil's music, right?
Without the influence of the Christian African American culture?
Yeah.
Satan's music. That's what he was called when he came out, right? The devil's music. They tried to ban him.
There you go, being negative again.
All right. I can't help it.
You're the Paul Washer of atheists.
I can't. Facts are just, a little.
Okay, now you said you couldn't think of anything positive about Islam. Let's do that.
Okay, let's go. All right, damn, that's gonna be even harder.
Okay, I'll give a positive about Islam. I think if I owned a very expensive car, it'd be safer in Saudi Arabia on the street than in Harlem or Chicago. Unlocked. If I just kept it unlocked with the keys in the ignition, it'd be less likely to be stolen.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You know what? I'll say this: when ISIS took over that area, they chopped off the hands.
Oh, there you go again, chopping off of hands.
No. Hold on. The efficiency improved like 1,000%. Not a single day of trash was, missed. Everything was in order. So yes, if you said extreme efficiency and getting shit done, I don't know if I can curse, but
getting stuff done. A lot of the things you say about Christianity is still true, right? It is like, I'm sure there's definitely been one person who has not raped someone else because they were
the Lord watching. Yeah.
And I think Muslims give more to the poor than Christians do, and that's a wonderful thing.
I've heard that.
Yeah, well, they have to. Yeah, the zakat is obligatory. So
yeah,
I think it's 2.5% of your.
And Islam, I think, is the only religion, or big religion at least, that has a system of Sharia that has laws in place. Like Christianity says almost nothing about how a government should act.
True. It's very detailed. And it's
I'm not sure that's a thing or a bad thing, but yeah.
That's the game.
The laws, right?
I make it nice. We gotta spruce it up and present it in a neat package.
I think there is something nice in Islam in some ways is like a very minimalist religion, at least the way they practice it. Right? Like there's no elaborate rituals and if you actually ever enter a mosque, it's like a really simple minimalist kind of place. Right? You're not allowed to have art on the walls and stuff. I think so.
Right. They said that that goes against the art argument for Christianity, but all right.
No, I mean, like, look, some people like their fancy art, some people like simplicity, right? So,
Simplistic calligraphy. That's all
yeah,
you can have.
yeah,
So,
but
Repeat Allah 1,000 times.
do you guys agree with me that atheists are freaks of nature?
yeah.
Depends on how you define freak of nature. It's,
That they're
I
going
think,
outside their programming.
So
you
we're
could
not
say,
sure, right? Because it's not like there are many atheists who are raised in atheist households. Most atheists come from religious households and convert because of
right,
the
right.
sheer volume
So
of.
we are programmed by nature to be skeptical. I think, as you said, Doug, I think like some people, I've heard you say, I don't know if I'm misquoting you, some people are born with that level of skepticism and inquisitiveness, and you can't just engender that into someone. They either have it or they don't. And most people I run into don't seem to have it. They don't sit down and think about their epistemology. So I think you're right in that we are abnormalities. People like us who like sit down, and this sounds like so arrogant, and I'm not trying to be, but I don't often run into people who are like, oh, asking like tough questions like, how did this come to be? If there's one God, where did he come from? Blah blah blah, whatever it is, these types of they just have a simplistic framework, and they're like, oh well, I believe there's a God, and whatever it is it, and that's it. And I try to be good, and that's that. So yes,
Like you can look
simple
at
answer.
countries like China, right? China, Slovakia, where there's actually a lot of atheists now, and see whether kids,
That's true too.
whether they grow up asking the question, well, what explains it? Like maybe there is, like, would they come up with a concept of a God if they would never thought that one exists? I don't know. Like,
Well, is it?
That's true too.
Yeah, right now, atheists make up what 3 or 4% of the world's population.
I think so, yeah.
A
I feel
thousand,
like it's more personally,
a
but
thousand
sure.
years from now, what do you think
Yeah.
it will be?
I think it'll be higher, 30%, 1,000 years.
I'm also optimistic. I think especially with the internet now, and shows like yours, and you have Apostate Prophet and all these people. I think you're seeing a multi-pronged attack, and you can't stop these questions from being asked, and it's only a question of like how hard against the brainwashing it goes. There's some people I've talked to, and it doesn't matter. Like it's not. They agree. They even go as far as to say, "Yeah, you're right. None of this makes sense." But I can't leave. I'm too, I'm afraid.
I think Sam wants to
So-
give you some grief.
Oh boy, 3 Indians walk into a bar.
We've got a Canadian and 3
Damn.
East Indians.
Canadian people, yeah.
Sam, you got a beef with VJ? I think he's smarter than you, Sam.
Yes, I do have a beef.
White man
I
starting
just-
shit with the Indians, Doug, as always.
Too many Indians. Okay, please bear with us. But no.
The first time though.
I am an atheist. Like I don't believe in any of this, but I'm just playing devil's advocate because as
No,
an
I understand you're an
atheist,
atheist. I understand that, but
I don't see a purpose. Like, okay, we are living. Okay, we die. We live. We die. I mean, it's same as bacteria or virus. So I see the importance of religion. Like, I'm not religious, and I have made many enemies by speaking my views. Believe me.
Are you a nihilist, Sam?
No, I'm not. I like living. Like, I'm not.
Why do you like living?
Die. Like, it's fun. Like, I mean.
Well, there you go. There's your
but I
purpose.
don't- Yeah, but that doesn't seem like a good purpose, right? Having fun.
I mean,
Like,
what's
religion
good or
seems like a
bad is
better
determined by you.
That's true. That's true.
That's subjective, right? I don't think sitting around praying to dear leader, having no independent thought for eternity is a good purpose. It sounds like
Yeah,
hell to
but-
me.
But I don't
And
think
infinity
like,
at that point is meaningless, right? Because you don't have anything. You're just that's it. Like that's it. You're sitting there, and that's it, right? You don't have pain. You don't have pleasure. You don't have ups and downs. Nothing. How is
Yeah,
that
but you
pleasure? How
don't-
is that good?
But you don't. You're assuming your mind is going to be the same in heaven. Your
I
mind
just- so
won't
that
even have
means-
those thoughts.
Exactly.
be
So I am no
completely
longer
oblivious.
I am no longer a free thinking individual. Portions of my brain have been, let's say, to put it physically, because portions of our brain control our thoughts. So some portion of my personality, my personhood has been chopped. It's been excised. So I am no longer who I am. I don't have a freedom to, maybe I want to think something bad once in a while. Maybe I want to feel
But
angry,
that's
whatever. But I will never have any of those things. Why would I
But
want that?
I don't want to feel angry. Why would I want to feel angry? I would rather
Maybe
not
I
feel
do.
angry.
That's the beauty to me. That's the beauty of
But I don't
human
know.
experience,
No,
right?
but that's what I'm.
Hang on, guys. Nathan
Human
from the live
experience is not good.
Nathan from the live stream has a question for all three of you. Are you all
Jump in.
three of you Slumdog Millionaires?
I wish, right? I wish.
Yeah, but I want to come up with an answer. It's funny. Can't think of it.
But what I feel like what I was a little bit kind of upset about what Vijay you said, like I'm worse than the religious people, which I take offense to that. Okay, I don't, I was just playing devil's advocate.
Maybe that was a bit hyperbolic, sure.
Yeah,
But I do take umbrage that you are at all saying, why is Doug do? I mean, okay, if you're just playing devil's advocate, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Look at what Doug is doing against look at what the other side is doing.
No,
I mean, there is
I
no
fully
comparison
support
here.
that.
He is a necessity. He's not even just it's not even for fun. He's a requirement.
Yeah, I think he said he's playing devil's advocate, right? He's just trying to.
Yeah, I understand. I didn't understand. I didn't realize you were saying that, but it was in that intent. So I take that back. If that's the case you're saying.
No, I 100% support Doug with what he's doing, but I do see benefits in religion, right? I mean, you guys know, like the devotional songs. I love them. Like I can listen to them all.
No,
the time,
but see, this is
not,
the problem, dude. That's
you're
here. You have an entire burning forest in front of you. That there's one tree that's still standing, and you're like, this tree is so beautiful. Like, come on, dude. Like, I mean, you live in you're from Bharat. Like, you see that it's burning, dude. Like, people getting killed every day for some. Like, there's a guy who had to leave the country because he exposed the crying Mary statue and it was connected to a sewer line. Like, that's the kind of state that we're living in if people like Doug aren't around.
Yeah.
Which religion do you guys think is the most dangerous?
Oh man. I think both Christianity and Islam.
It's Islam.
No, I think it's both. I think it's both.
No, it's not Christianity, man. I mean, I have not been scared of any Christians, but the Islamists have been a problem.
See, the thing is that up until about maybe 200 years ago, they mainly relied on violence, and now they're losing membership in the West. So they're doing soul harvesting, rice bag shit. You know all about the rice bags in India. They've lost their traditional revenue streams and they're expanding out to Asia, to Africa, wherever else. I mean, they're not overtly violent method, but they're apparently using psychological and financial and political pressure.
So if everybody in India became Christian, so what? What would be the problem?
I don't know. I live in America right now.
You don't believe in religion anyway, right? So what's the problem?
Well, I'm telling you, I live in America right now, and we have a bunch of right-wing Christians that have taken a hold of the systems, the institutions, and it's not turning out so well. I think inevitably Christianity and Islam inevitably will have it's unimpeded impeded fascistic ideology. You have to have some sort of root core stronghold over whatever you're ruling.
But I think most Christians have kind of gone beyond that. They are just nominally
in Christian. The West. The recent converts are the worst. Yeah. In the East, they come there Bible thumping. You're gonna burn in hell. Convert to our God. You're all a devil worshiping.
So I'll convert. So what? I'll just sign on the paper. I'm a Christian now. So
and that's fine for you. But because you're willing to convert. What happens when you're not willing to convert? And when they're exerting financial pressure on you, like they're saying you're not going to get, and get into schools if you don't convert. You don't get medical treatment if you don't convert. You don't get political power if you don't convert, which is happening in my state, in my home state. 25%.
By the way, do you know what they're talking about now? This is they used to call them rice Christians, right? Like
rice bags.
But you guys are missing the point.
Rice bags
is useless, right? You can be a Hindu, Christian, Muslim, Jew, like any second. Like every second you can change your religion. There's no...
No, you can't.
You can just say,
in Islam, because in Islam, I'm telling you asked me a question, let me answer. In Islam, if you believe, you get your head chopped off. Okay, let me answer you. In Christianity, if you leave, you become ostracized from the entire group. You have nowhere to go. You have nothing left for you. Your financial resources, your social network. I'm talking about India. I'm not even talking about America, because especially with the Christians, you've heard of the Joshua Project, right? What the Christians do is they go into, even like the Indian government doesn't have this good of a census and breakdown of the social structure. They go into these places, they target, and they do it from the ground up, so the entire society becomes converted. So once you've taken a hold of it's a group thing, it's a cult type of ideology. See, in Dharma, if you decide to leave and become Christian, nobody gives a damn, right?
But you are an atheist. Doesn't matter whether they're Hindu or Christian. It's
oh
all
my
BS
God, what
anyway.
is? Can someone else? I don't understand. Am I not?
But you are an atheist, so it doesn't matter whether they're Christian or Hindu. What does it matter?
I'm trying to explain what happens when the society becomes a certain specific ideological basis, and then.
But are you an atheist?
The consequences therein.
Well, no, Sam, my question was view it this way. Where do you live, Sam? Are you in the U.S.?
I'm in the U.S., yes.
Okay. Which is more likely to have you killed as an atheist? A Christian society or a Muslim society?
No, I already said Islam is the most dangerous. I'm not backing off from that.
Okay, then I think you and VJ are agreed, right?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah, but what
I would say physical violence. Yes, Islam.
He's worried about India becoming a Christian nation when he doesn't believe in Hinduism or Christianity. So what does it matter whether India is Christian or Muslim, or Hindu? It's all the same.
I'll tell you what. Sure. So the problem here for me, at least, is I'm an Indian. I don't think that anybody should be ashamed to be part of their culture, their race, whomever. If, let's say, Doug is Irish roots, I think the Gaelic culture is a proud culture that was destroyed completely. It was eradicated. I don't know if Doug is. I'm not saying he is. It's hypothetical. I don't think he should. His entire culture should be erased and taken over by this monopolistic, exclusive, intolerant, bigoted ideology. I don't believe in cultural genocide, is what I'm saying, and that's what I'm against.
But why are you against that? Why? What
because I just told you
I'm a Hindu. What's the difference between a Christian and a Hindu?
Am I not?
No, Sam. That's a little disingenuous question. I think. Like, why are you against genocide? Is that what you asked?
No. The Christians are not killing Hindus.
Cultural genocide.
They're just converting them.
Yes, I don't see. So, to me, the experience of humanity is displayed and celebrated by the vast richness and the diversity therein. When you have a singular ideology,
we are talking about religion, not culture.
No.
Well, those two are tied pretty close together in a lot of cultures.
Those do not extinct.
What if everybody in India was a Christian?
Okay, I'll tell you. Oh, perfect.
People should convert to Christianity?
In fact, not only am I against that, I believe that Christians in India should.
But that means you're a Hindu. You're not an atheist. Right.
Oh my God, dude. Sam, you're not.
Right.
Okay, so Sam, 5 out of darshanams in Dharmam are atheist. They do not believe in a God. I have no God concept. I think a rock is just a rock. Do you understand what I'm saying so far?
I fully understand.
Okay, I love my culture. I like that we wear pancha. I like that we wear bottu and chira. I like that. I think it's pretty.
I like roti.
There you go. So why do you like what you like? I'm a human being. I have my taste. I have my. We as human beings.
But I guess maybe Sam is asking.
What does that have to do with religion?
That's what I'm coming to next.
Right.
Go ahead.
Let me ask.
Go ahead, Deepak.
By I think what you're saying implies that you're also making choices for future generations, right? You're saying because let's be honest, it's not like Hinduism is so far in decline that it's going to be replaced by Christianity in anything less than 100 years, right? So you're effectively saying
I don't know about 100. Yeah. Go ahead.
But you're saying you're making choices for what the generation 100 years from now should do culturally based on your preferences, right? And
no, not at all. So the way I see it is that every culture should have a right to decide its own fate, and I don't believe that these rise back tactics, this political strong arming, the sociological programming, and cultural imposition should be allowed. I think every culture, not just India. I don't care if we're in Africa. I'll go to if I go to
Sam,
what
Are
if a
you
culture
familiar
just it doesn't?
who's
What
in
if a
charge
culture
of
does
India
something
now?
without strong arming, right? A culture just does it by persuasion.
Then that's okay. I'm okay. If people are voluntarily saying this is bunk, why should anybody stop them? I believe in freedom first and foremost,
Sam,
right?
if you
But that's
listen
not
to
what's
Indian
happening. And if
Muslims,
you know,
So
one second,
so
Sam.
you're against the strong. You're against what you think of as like
So
strong arm attempts to like impose.
yeah, so what the Christians are specifically doing is they're doing a methodological, like they're going after the poor, they're literate, they're going after people that are needy and desperate. They offer them money. You've heard of the rice bag, right? Who came up with that term, by the way? Missionary. My name is Sam. Your name is Sam. My name is VJ, Sam.
and do you know who's in charge of India now? It's a Hindu fundamentalist. They're in charge of India now.
No, he's not.
If you
There is
listen,
not. Maulana Modi is not a fundamentalist. In fact, I think he's a
if you
betrayer
listen
of the
to
nation.
any Indian Muslim or Christian, they will say that the Hindus are persecuting them. That's what they will say.
Absolutely.
Any Indian
Yeah,
Muslims or
and they're full
Christians.
of shit. They are absolutely
But
full of
that's your
shit. They're
opinion.
doing what's
Okay.
no,
Okay.
it's not. It's not. I
Okay,
go
hang on a
with them. In
second,
fact,
guys. What are we disagreeing about here?
so
I
Sam
think
believes
Vijay
that
is not a atheist. He's an Hindu. That's what I'm saying.
I can tell you
He's like
something.
right.
he wants Hinduism to survive in India. I'm saying it
So
doesn't
VJ,
matter whether it's
okay.
Indian, Christian, or Muslim.
So we're disagreeing
It's
whether or not VJ
not
is an
bad.
atheist. Is that it?
No. I can try to
Yeah,
summarize.
Yeah,
it.
he is. Yeah, he is. He is. Yes. No,
I am.
Deepak, that's
I'm
exactly
making
what
a
he said.
statement.
He's
Yeah.
a, he's just so and let me tell you from my point of view, Doug, what's happening here. Sam has adopted the Western notion of culture and religion, as you said. They're intertwined. You can't, I mean, Christianity is a cultural artifact of Jewish people. It has nothing, it has no context. If you remove the Judaic texts, if you remove the prophecies and all of these things, it has no context. If I go to Africa and tell a random guy, or in India, sorry, I keep saying Africa, but wherever, and I just tell him a random story about a Jewish dude who died, it wouldn't. If I go somewhere in America and tell someone there's a holy river called Ganga, the American dude would have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. They would have no reference, no, relation to it. So to me, I believe that when you come in front of people, 10,000 years of your history, you're all infidels, you're all backward, devil worshipping, demon worshipping infidels, you're inferior. And as I see it, Christianity is used as a way for mental colonization. It's used as a way for generally, historically, white people, of course, other people have also done it, to come into a race, to subjugate them psychologically, to erase their culture, and to implant upon them or impose upon them their new ideological framework, which is Christianity. And same Arabs have also done the same with Islam. So what I believe, I'm not an atheist. I believe we should keep the framework of our culture, our clothes, our food, our way of life. Like we're generally very
What if
vegetarian. We believe.
Okay, so you're an atheist, but you think culture should be
But I don't
maintained
believe
in.
in. Yes, I don't. But I don't believe in a God concept. Whether people believe in God or not is their business.
What if the
as long
culture
as they're not-
sucks?
Then it should be changed. It should be reformed. I'm absolutely okay with reform. I said I have no problem with reformation. I was telling Sam this, and he wasn't listening or understanding me. I don't want to be uncharitable to him. I have no problem like naturally growing and naturally evolving, which Indian culture has always done.
Like, can a Christian culture go into a country that's not a Christian culture, but that culture that the Christians go into kills women for having sex before marriage? Or throws gays off buildings? Do you think a Christian culture can go in and kill those people or stop them?
No, I don't think they should kill those people, but I think they should stop them. Yes, I don't believe in moral relativism or whatever. I'm a humanist. Like right is right. You don't need to be. It doesn't matter where you are. That's not justifiable to me. Treat other people how they want to be treated.
Hey, Vijay, can I just make a quick comment? Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Christians in India are from the quote unquote backward caste. So Hinduism kind of discarded them, and they were right pickings from Christianity, right? So it's not like
yes and no.
That's why I don't like it. Hinduism doesn't matter. It's all BS, right? Hinduism or Christianity. Why do you care whether person is Hindu or a Christian?
This is a very I'll tell you why. This is a dangerous dishonesty. This is a false equivalency.
Why? No, it's not false equivalency. That is the truth.
You asked me a question. Let me answer you. Did you just ask me rhetorically, or do you want to know the answer?
Sam, what's your question in one sentence?
No.
I got his question. He's asking why is it a false equivalency?
Sam, say your question in one sentence.
In a question, why does it matter if a person living in India is a Hindu or a Christian?
Why does it matter if a person in India is a Christian or a Hindu?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. That's my
VJ,
question.
go ahead and answer.
A Christian, by definition, at least, especially the ones that are Protestants and all these people that are coming over, and Christianity as a whole is intolerant, it's bigoted, it is a ideology built on hatred, exclusivity. You either believe in my God or you burn in hell or purgatory or whatever else. Dharmic culture, by definition, by nature, is tolerant, it's open to live, like progressiveness. As you said, the current BJP guy is right-wing.
Okay, we got it,
He's
VJ.
nothing.
We got it. So now, Sam, his answer was because Hinduism is pluralistic and Christianity is exclusive.
So I rest my case. Vijay is a Hindu. He's not an atheist, right?
Well, why can't he be both?
Yeah.
Right, Sam?
Okay.
Can he be both?
What? I don't understand a concept like religions are false.
I've had enough of this East Indian bickering.
Wow, that was something. It actually it reminded me of all these like arguments my uncles would have.
Is this what your Thanksgiving's like?
This is basically what our holies and our Diwalis are like, yeah. Same set of topics, the same everything. Nothing ever changes. Yep.
Let's see what Diego wants.
Nothing ever changes.
Hey, Diego.
Oh,
Let's see what Diego wants. There, you're in here. What do you want? You always have questions for me, right?
Oh, sorry. I just want to ask something. I have been engaging more with Christians and Catholics. I have committed to atheism right now. So, but I have a question for you. Do you think it's good for the society to live religion?
I just answered that, Diego, just a few minutes ago.
I'm late.
Sorry. I let him go. Rewind it. You'll see the answer.
Oh, this is the old Doug now. I was like,
no, yeah, I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. Yeah. It's a complicated question though, really, right? Like, I think it's okay to leave. Like, I care more about people leaving the kind of religion that's poisonous to, like, my view of how society should be, right? And science and stuff, but.
Well, like my religion would be the concept of free speech, ideas, because that's how we figure out, I think, what is the best culture, way to live is.
Yeah.
So you take that away, then you're in trouble, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's an absolute minimum. But then, like, you have things like, say, abortion, right? Where it's not like I feel like you can't have the opposite opinion, but it would be nice if everyone agreed with me, right? I'd prefer that. And I know that if you could turn some Christians into atheists, they'd start agreeing with me more. So in that sense.
If we had a society where we could run experiments in a well-controlled way, like let's say in the state of California, free abortions, all you can eat abortions, but only for, sorry, all you can eat abortions. That doesn't sound right. But no people coming in from other states. So you got like a isolated experiment, and then you take Arizona, no abortions, none whatsoever, isolate it, seal up the borders for, I don't know, a couple hundred years, and then look at society, how it progresses. Which one ends up with better results?
So I feel like,
or no difference.
I think California, right? Like, this is the thing in that book, right? Freakonomics, where they looked at data that showed that, and they claimed it showed that after Roe v. Wade, there was just much less criminal.
Yeah,
whatever. So, I mean, maybe that's not enough to persuade somebody, but like.
Yeah, I lean that way too. But like some theists will say, well, it's bad because it makes their God frown and sad and cry.
Well, I mean, they could also argue it's just because. Like, you could also maybe make a better society by killing like the bottom 5% of poor people, but we have reasons why we don't do that, right?
You might be onto something. No. The reason why we don't kill the bottom 5% is because in the vast majority cases, there's people who care about them. And that the value that we assign to, let's say, even the most financially burdensome people in society is that they still have value to people, and we value that value. Now, but with a 10-day zygote or blastocyst or whatever, sure, it can have some value, but that's probably the lowest of the low in value.
I mean, for 10 days, I don't assign it any value at all. And like, I just literally zero to me, right? Like, as much as
And for me, it would be above zero.
Okay. I mean,
but it's still like hardly any value.
Yeah. I see.
Look at this guy. I got a beef with him, actually. I want to talk to him. Let's see if your audio is going to work today.
Yeah, hi guys. Is it okay or shall
I? Yeah, it's okay. But I noticed something about you, Otangelo. Whenever I put on a great performance, you get really upset. It's true, right?
Well,
like with Jonathan McClatchy the other day, you were there, you saw it, and you went on a rampage. I mean, you got, Doug did well here, so I got to start going boom, 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 comments everywhere.
Abiogenesis, fine tuning.
I know, you got to.
No, you know what was, I mean, if I was at Jonathan's place and I know that he's not in the same page with me, I would have just said, Shroud of Turin.
Yeah. Well, you know that doesn't have any impact on guys like me and Deepak, right? You know we're laughing at you, right?
I know, but it kills your argument with the Flying Man because your Flying Man doesn't have a shroud, right?
Yeah, he does. He does.
Oh, he does?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
He had he wore a special suit when he flew. And they actually found it in the year 1300. They found the suit, and nobody can duplicate how it was made. Like when he flew, he gave off this radiation. And no one to this day can duplicate it.
Yeah.
Wow. Now you really got me, Doug.
You see? I can do whatever you do. I mean, whatever evidence you want to present, I can present to, and then ask you the question, do you believe my ancestor literally flew? And you say, I got the suit to prove it.
But Doc, did you get that stunt from T-Jump? Because he plays the same game.
Well, what's wrong with playing the game? The game is to
I'm not
help
saying
people.
It's wrong. I'm saying you are basically doing the same that T-Jump does. Whatever we posit as evidence, he then just provides a similar alternative.
Right. Do you know why he does that?
Yes, and it's silly. Do you know why it's
Tell me
silly,
why
Doc?
T-Jump and I do that.
Well, because you try to demonstrate that what we believe is silly, right?
No, even take the silliness. Imagine that we have we're people of good moral character, and we're actually trying to help find out what the truth is. What is the purpose of these thought experiments and mirroring your evidence back to you?
Well,
why are we doing this?
You know that I really think that your epistemological approach is not serious. You know that.
Otangelo, you're not answering my question. My question is why does T-Jump take the evidence that you have and mirror it back? Why do I do that? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? It's not to make you look silly, although that's a funny byproduct. But there's a reason.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, tell me.
The reason is it's to see if you're consistent in your epistemic method. It's simple. So if you believe X because of Y, and I present you Y for a different claim, and if that evidence does it for you for X, why doesn't it do it for you for a different claim? That's it.
But I just previously said that I think that your epistemological framework is silly. I already said that.
Yeah, but look at yours now, right? That's the point. His could be silly all you want, but like the point is you apply a standard, you apply an approach that seems to get you from Y to X, right? And then when Doug just changes the name in Y from Jesus to Flying Man, right? Like there's all this resistance, right? Like with Jonathan McClatchley, it seemed like he got to the point where he even like realized, Doug, you're just giving me exactly the same thing from Jesus to the Flying Man, right? And so then how can he not, at that point, he still refuses to say, then of course I believe this, right? The evidence is exactly the same. I have to believe it.
No, he got that. And in the end, he said, well, if you provide me all this, then it is possible that I actually believe. He admitted
Yeah,
that.
you notice that? Like, what if I were to say, if Jonathan was to present me with all the evidence for Christianity that he typically does, the publicly available evidence, and I'd say to him, Jonathan, you know, in principle, I could see myself believing this if the evidence was sufficient. I just presented you the sufficient evidence, Doug. Well, in principle, I could believe this. Why don't you believe it, Doug? Well, you know, in principle, I could. This is how he was answering with the Flying Man. And I was showing him, and it was clear to everybody listening that he has two epistemic standards for the exact same evidence. It's inconsistent.
Yeah, but I think the problem with him was, and I would have done that, I would have actually provided other reasons which give more consistency to my beliefs.
Like the shroud.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I would bring up the shroud for the Flying Man, his suit that he flew in, and then you would say, then I would ask you, do you believe my ancestor flew now? And then you would say, no.
The thing is, Doc, that hey, reproduce a shroud, because many have tried to do it and nobody's able.
Many people have tried to replicate the Flying Man suit and nobody's been able to do it. If I actually had presented you with the Flying Man pictures exactly like the shroud, would you be more likely to believe that my ancestor a few hundred years back actually flew? Yes or no?
Well, the thing is, and I think with that I agree with Jonathan, the more evidence that you put into the picture, obviously more you substantiate your claim.
Yeah, and that's
no one's denying that.
And that's what I was doing with the Flying Man thought experiment. It takes the evidence one by one, and we layer it on top of each other chronologically, and then we see where the belief switch turns on or doesn't.
And he was smart enough to admit, well, if you continue to provide me compelling evidence, there will be a point, there will be a turning point where I will say, okay, that seems to be compelling.
But you notice where that is? It's basically everything that we have for Christianity has to be now really done for the Flying Man, and only then will I believe.
And even then, like, man, you had to like wring it out of him, right? First he said it's possible in principle, and then finally there was this little
Yeah, at the end he finally had to go, okay, I would believe it.
But you know, Doug, what I see constantly, I provide, in my understanding, really rock solid and compelling reasons and arguments that point to God. But most atheists, I would say 99.9%, they say, well, no, I don't believe it. And they just hand wave it away.
And you hand wave the Flying Man when I bring this.
So my conclusion is there is a spiritual component and there is also will. It is not just about reason. It is also about what you actually want. And many people, they want to live autonomously to God and they don't care about God. And I think that's what happens most of the case.
Well, then you should become you're starting to talk like a Calvinist.
Yeah.
Because basically what you're saying is there's spiritual warfare going on.
I mean, that certainly I believe that is something which is an ingredient, but you know that I am not Calvinist, right?
I mean, I think that's a fair point, like before Nathan jumps in, but I really do think you can have that kind of attitude, right? But then you should be honest about it and say that it's not purely evidential, right? It's other things on top of the evidence. Personal experience.
And I mean, there are other things like personal experiences and visions, which I've seen over and over people, and not just people from, let's say, from where I live in Brazil, but recently I had a conversation with a guy from Norway. I saw a science paper which fascinated me, and I wrote the author, he is from Norway, and I asked him, what is your belief? And he said, well, I am a Christian. And I asked him, well, why are you a Christian? And I was expecting that he would say because of the science, which I expose in the science paper. But that wasn't actually the reason. The reason was that he had a personal experience of a vision where Christ appeared to him. And of course, that was fascinating.
You just got to accept the fact, Otangelo.
So what I want to say with that, there is more than... Yeah.
There's a bit of a delay, but you just have to resign yourself to the fact, Otangelo, that there's going to be people like me who will listen to these stories and say, okay, that's fine. And they'll listen to your shroud evidence, they'll listen to your fine-tuning evidence, and we will not be convinced by it. But what will convince me, and I think a lot of other atheists, is light up a water-soaked napkin in the name of Jesus. You can't do it.
Yeah, right.
And until that day, guys like me will just think you got nothing.
Atheists, well, what? Okay, so if that would happen, would you actually start worshiping Jesus?
I mean, how many times have I answered this?
I say no, I wouldn't.
Look me in the eye. My whole worldview would be shattered.
Yeah.
And I'm not lying to you.
Yeah, I mean, you are an exception amongst the crowd, Doc. You are a special guy. That's why I'm here at your channel, right?
Wait, I don't think that's true. I would certainly be in the same boat as Doug, and I guess Nathan would too.
If you right now, Otangelo, because we're not trying to trick each other, we didn't set anything up. If you were to pray in the name of Jesus, to light water on fire, my whole worldview would be shattered. My channel would have to take a new direction. I would have to figure out what version of Christianity is true. I mean, everything would change. You want to try it? And the thing is, this is expected in Christianity. Elijah did it. He teased other gods that couldn't do it. You want to pray? You notice how you're so quick to talk about the shroud and talk about philosophical arguments, but when it comes down to something very simple, then you're quiet. Why is that?
Yeah, I think we had so many conversations, Doug, and we said that already. God gives enough light to those which want to believe and enough darkness to those which want to live autonomously to Him. So certainly He would
such a simple experiment.
Prayer and that kind of proof.
It's a bit of a cop-out, considering that you just said before that all your arguments are rock solid, right, in order to rationally compel anyone to believe in the conclusion.
Yeah, that's actually
it's not a cop-out. That's what I really believe, Nathan.
No, but you can't.
You just said it's. Yeah, you're about to say the same thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're saying the same thing. It's just a lie.
You can't believe that it's both a cop-out. Sorry, you can't believe that it's a rock-solid argument, and that there must be an element of personal testimony or whatever, the spiritual warfare thing, right?
Or God revealing His light to people. But
you know why? Because, as I said previously, I don't think it's just a matter of reason. It's also a matter of will.
No, exactly. But that's literally what we just said.
And if you don't want to believe and live with God and follow Him and so forth, then there is no reason why you should acknowledge evidence and arguments for God's existence. What do you care if you don't want to live with God? You don't care.
Right, so just referring back to what we asked that you were responding to, right? If that's the case, then why is it that you say that these arguments ought to rationally compel anyone to believe in the conclusion? Because it's not the case that the arguments actually do that work, then, is it? It's that it's about personal relationships to God.
It's called, Nathan, cognitive dissonance.
Right, that's got everything to do with what I just said. Thank you.
You're saying that somehow, we're brought, you bring us we're like a
Romans
horse.
1, Romans 1, 19 to 22. You do, right, Nathan?
I do, yeah.
I think delusion would be a better word, Otangelo, for you to use.
That's my answer.
So what are the beliefs that I have that are in dissonance with one another? And what are the beliefs that I've developed in order to resolve the dissonance?
Oh, that's up to you, Nathan. I am not in your
You're
mind
the one
to
telling
know.
me that I've got it right, so I think it's on you to kind of tell me. Like if you
I
can't
can give you
identify those beliefs,
many reasons, and
you're all
we've
which beliefs are in dissonance, right?
we've gone through all that. You find always excuse to
Well, we've not.
move
What?
in.
Tell me what the dissonance is.
He can't, Nathan. He can't do it. So, like, I'm actually feeling sorry. Like, we're beating up on Otangelo at recess.
Well, maybe he
No, I can give you I can give you my prime argument.
No, we don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
can give you
if
my
I said
prime argument.
you believe something that's really false, and then you were like, "What?" and then I was like, "No, that's for you to find out."
Otangelo, we've heard every argument you've ever given, at least the main ones, right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing more to discuss.
I think so. Yeah.
What? Well, you had a new argument that we haven't heard yet?
Okay.
Do you have a new one?
Excuse me?
You have a new argument that we haven't heard yet?
I study every day. I study science every day, so I discover every day new things, which I think are amazing things to share with people, and I do that. Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question? Two questions, maybe. Since you study science a lot, like, how many nitrogen atoms does a molecule of pyrimidine have?
Excuse me?
How many nitrogen atoms does a molecule of pyrimidine have?
I don't know.
Okay.
What's the atomic weight of gold?
Let me tell you. Pyrimidines, they have one ring base structure, 6 atoms. Then we have about 10 atoms for ribose and about 3-4 atoms for the phosphate, so maybe about 20 atoms.
Yeah, I was asking about of nitrogen though.
Yeah, how many nitrogen?
But, I mean, he knows a bit. All right.
Oh, nitrogen is one. Well, nitrogen is one atom.
No, but how many nitrogen atoms within?
And you have about, I think you have about 2 or 3 atoms in the base of the nucleotide of nitrogen atoms.
All right.
Which orbital are the electrons in, the delocalized electrons in a benzene ring?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I don't know.
I think they're just all in a cloud, right, above the ring. There's no orbital.
Yeah, but in a particular, but it's in the pi orbital.
Okay. Well, he got the pyrimidine one. I mean, he knows something.
And you know what would happen if what would happen if the Planck constant would be just a little bit different?
Yeah, everybody would die.
And what our souls would have to coexist with matter differently, right? Because we'd still exist as souls, wouldn't we? So it wouldn't really matter that the physical constants changed because we're souls.
This is all about.
Yeah, we are not souls, we are a combination of our physical body. Right?
This is all about heaven and hell, right? This is why you're here. You don't want people.
Ask Nathan. I don't know.
Otangelo, is the reason why you're here and doing up these apologetics is because you don't want people to go to hell?
No, I want to go to heaven.
I know, but you don't want people to go to hell, and you want people to go to heaven, right? That's what this is all about.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Have a good day.
I have to head out to a meeting.
Ask Nathan. I don't know.
Otangelo, is the reason why you're here.
Hey, Theo Sib. Let me unmute you. Oh, that's kind of cool how I did this.
Oh, is Otangelo gone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I booted him.
Okay. I was going to maybe needle him about one of the worst arguments he ever made on Twitter.
Which is?
So we're talking about ERVs and the fact that we share ERVs with other primates in exactly the same positions in our genomes. And trying to remember his argument, but he showed me this paper that showed that there was an affinity in genomes for for certain viruses to insert themselves into certain places, but like probabilistic affinity, statistical affinity. And he took that as an indication that those were the only places those viral genomes could be inserted, and that was his explanation for why why humans and other primates had ERVs in exactly the same spots. What he couldn't answer was we couldn't deal with the fact that this was only statistical. And the other problem was that
what's your PhD in?
Why we got exactly the same ones.
Tim, what's your PhD in?
Computer engineering.
Okay. And you're just find this stuff interesting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. I mean, I like to argue. I'm kind of an asshole like that.
Okay. Yeah, to me, this is like a waste of time.
Okay.
Because
we can talk about something else.
Because
I think Otangelo is not going to change his mind. Based on any of.
He had an experience, and he desires heaven, and he's scared of hell for people. So that's what it's all about. All this other stuff is white noise. There's a signal in there somewhere. You just got to find it. And I think the signal is about hope, meaning, and purpose, heaven and hell. And the poor guy he's well-meaning. He just is sad that people are headed to hell. And guys like us are sending people there because they listen to weak Christians listen to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's kind of hard to deal with. I mean, my dad's a young Earth creationist, so absolutely anything that goes against the specific things that he's decided he wants to believe, he just absolutely, won't listen.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Because their whole life has to change. Like your dad's life would fall apart in a degree if he all of a sudden something clicked in him. Say, oh, maybe evolution is true. He has to reinterpret everything that he knows to be true about the Bible and Genesis and
yeah, that's too hard for somebody in their 70s.
Yeah. And the thing is, do you even want to do that for someone in their 70s? Like, what's there to gain, really?
What I don't want him to do is ruin the lives of my nephews.
Your nephews will be fine.
I hope so. My sister's got her own set of problems.
Oh. Is your dad taking care of your nephews?
I mean, they live live in neighboring houses.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's kind of a little too much influence over young minds than I would prefer.
Yeah. So. The thing is, I really do believe it's unstoppable. Like, if your nephews are going to, if they have the internet, it's over.
And they go into school with a phone and it's not gonna.
Like they can fact check things and. No, but if your dad is telling them that everything that goes against what he has taught them is the devil deceiving them,
yeah,
then they're in a cult. You've
5 years of therapy, though.
Yeah. You've commented on my channel before, right? Your name looks familiar, Theosib.
Yeah. I've talked to you on Twitter. I've been in video, on your live stream before.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember what we talked about. Probably like neuroscience or something.
Okay. Well, Neil, thanks for coming on. Don't worry about your nephews. They'll be just fine.
All right.
Or not.
You still doing the 2 hours, Doug? It's coming up to 2 hours soon.
Yeah, I guess we've got to make these last 10 minutes the most important. Do you have a beef, like a serious beef with Otangelo, or are you just like making fun of him?
I mean, I am just making fun of him, but he's one of those people where the intellectual dishonesty grates on me. I just can't stand the fact that he's one of those people that will make you spend hours, blocking off every little move he's going to make is a dead end. And then if you go through all that work and do it, and you show him plain as day the places where he's wrong, he's one of those people that just goes, yeah, And you're like,
okay, but now here's the question: what is like more silly here? You trying or like just let it go? Like you gotta just let him go.
yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
Like I don't know. Like I've had so many people come on my channel, and you can kind of get gauge where they're coming from. And if you think if they're doxastically closed and there's nothing that can change their mind, then talk about the weather, talk about sports, talk about something else. And then
I think it's a thing in me though, like there's something that gets triggered in me, and I find maybe you're right that I could work on it, but it's so hard to just be like, let it go.
And the thing is, instead of trying to do all that work with Otangelo, force him to get smarter and just basically be indifferent to him, and that will motivate him to like, why isn't he listening to me? Why isn't he engaging with me like he used to? And just force him to change his tactics to be smarter. And then, but if he might be incapable of that, but maybe someday he'll just ask you a short question and you'll answer it, and he'll say thank you, and then that's it. And that day you're going to go, he's onto something now. He's learned. He's like, your BF Skinner, and he's the dog, right? And you're forcing him to change by letting him know that what he's currently doing is not working.
Yeah, it's like there was this tweet the other day from Jonathan where he was like, "Oh, can you point out a specific example of where I've like, where I've been like inconsistent in this way?" So then I had to read a bunch of his blog posts, right, and find all these problems, point them out to him. And then he's like arguing, no, that's not a problem because of this. And I'm like, no, that's misrepresenting what you said, isn't it? Because you said this. And you finally get to that point where it's like, right, got him. And he's gonna have to say, yeah, I was wrong. And then he just stops. And it's like, and I can't stand that. I'm like, no, now it's the time for you to change, Jonathan. And Jonathan's another one of those that I just find so just frustrating, the intellectual dishonesty. I don't know I do know what's going on, right? And it's just that I hate it. Like,
yeah,
I should let it go more though. You're right. And change my tactics. Maybe that'll be more effective. But I guess it's also about the audience seeing it as well. I mean, even if they're not going to change, right?
That's true. And that's partly why I did what I did on the SE channel, because I knew that the Flyman wouldn't be effective with him, but just to see him push back against it so strongly.
Yeah, and Christians are going to watch that and think, man, this guy's goofy. Like, whereas they wouldn't have done that from the previous conversation. But after, I think, hearing the things he was saying to you, like the way he talks about everything as a hypothesis, or rather than saying like, yeah, like they had lots of different senses or something, he said like polymodal sensory data and stuff. And it makes it sound like he's doing... like he's cracking the source code of the universe or something.
Like, I wonder if Jonathan really thinks that gains confidence in Christians, his followers, like using that language.
What it's doing for him. Well, I think that's what's going on in his mind, because you know how he's like, I'm an evidentialist, which means, so yeah, I just believe that we proportion our beliefs to the evidence and all and I think that it's like all this scientific speech makes him have this feeling that kind of like quells any dissonance or whatever, because he's got so much to say that sounds technical. I think that's what's going on in him, at least.
Like, he's definitely on the far scale of autism, right?
I mean, I think so, but obviously I can't diagnose. I'm not a...
Well, I play a psychologist on YouTube, so I'm going to make my diagnosis.
But yeah, I mean, I think so.
Yeah. Like he can't, because of his autism, I think he has to be an evidentialist, because he can't feel God.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know about that. I mean, you could be right though. But yeah, I find it that the comment that you pinned right on that video when I got very excited about how silly he looked. It's so true that all these people like Jonathan, like Lydia McGrew, like Tim McGrew, they've spent the past 2 or 3 years, I mean, ever since I deconverted and I've been like watching this stuff, like basically talking shit about how stupid you are. And you know, like, because the flying man is just, oh, they believe the flying man? That's so stupid. You don't need to, like, they say stuff like that, right, on all these podcasts that they go on. They've written all these blog posts.
Yeah.
And then they talk to you and they say, now I want to address your flying man because it's not been addressed so far, right? They say that at the start, and it's literally all it is this. It's right, and then you get into it, and they have no idea what the purpose of it is, why it's effective, what it's showing. It's crazy.
Yeah. 3 times he says, all you're doing is mimicking the evidence for Christianity. Yes.
That's the point. Yeah. And you're being inconsistent, right? Why wouldn't you believe it in this one case? And I think if you kept pushing him, he would basically end up saying all the same stuff, like, well, you know, like, we've got to proportion our belief to the evidence, and like textual data just isn't good enough to believe something like a guy flew, which violates our known laws of physics or something, right? And he would start sounding very much like an atheist at that point.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll let you go and then see if in the last few minutes some Christians, you know, true Christians want to come in.
Yeah. Right. See you around.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Is there any true Christians who want to hop in? I'm not going to be here forever. I mean, I want to keep this shorter. Who wants to go to an adult dating site? Buy a robot, it's cheaper. There was one guy who came on my channel named David, who I saw on Tom Rabbit's channel, and he was just, someone was just cursing at him left and right. I'm going, what is your problem? Did anybody see that? Let me see if I can find it. I think, and this guy David's been on my channel a few times. Not the David who said I hate my family. Not that David. A different David. Yeah, this. Like, this I don't understand from atheists.
Saying is that the God of the Bible and the God posited by Christianity.
No, this is not it. Different one. Where is it? Oh, did he take it off? It was so bad. Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. Jack Angstreich and David, but I think it's gone now. That's not it. That's not it. He must have made it private because it was so bad. Let me see if I have it in my history here. I don't get this. I don't get how some people get so incredibly angry at other people for just and this Jack guy, he's not that young. Like, he's a little more mature. He's in his 30s, it looks like. Like, if someone is completely intellectually dishonest with you, you just let them go. Okay, Oflamio, I know you want to chastise me. You want to chastise me for saying autism, right? With Jonathan?
Absolutely. How dare you compare me to Otangelo? I would confirm on this and I don't need any.
Not Otangelo, with Jonathan.
Jonathan
McClatchy.
Yes, he's fine. McClatchy's fine, but I thought you compared me to Otangelo. No, I'm not nothing like Otangelo, even though our names start with the same letter.
Yeah. But I have nothing against autistic people. I'm just pointing out the fact that if Jonathan is autistic, that would explain why he's so evidential. Like, he hasn't had that personal experience of Jesus. He hasn't felt the warm and fuzzy feelings. And that would explain why he does the apologetics he does.
But that's because Jesus is dead.
That's why he hasn't felt Jesus?
Of course.
Okay, but what about at church? You know, with the music playing?
Someone's alive, but Jesus is dead. Someone has to collect the money.
Like how you're autistic, right?
Absolutely.
How much do you feel emotionally?
A lot.
A lot?
Oh, absolutely. I think I actually figure out a way to abuse lust to get more power. So yeah, I feel a lot so I can work my ridiculous amount of hours. I did like 47 hours on the clock last week at a warehouse. So
Or like
so
what?
I feel a lot.
Like educate me here. What your form of autism? Like what makes you different than me? Let's say.
Well, psychology is nonsense, so they don't even know. It's a really bad sign. So if you ask a psychotherapist, you'll get 3 different answers from the same person. So they have no idea.
But what have the therapists told you about your autism?
They tell me.
You don't have to talk about this if you don't want to, but I'm just curious.
No. I do want to talk about what they tell me. They told me I had an IQ of 105, but it has to be higher because I can't relate to most of these. I can't relate to most of these people.
Well, 105 is above average.
Yeah, it's probably higher because that's not really above average. Above average is not a whole standard deviation. Like it'd be 120, be a whole standard deviation. But I feel like I'm not related to all these.
Because what I know of you, you're a very nice guy. You're very funny.
Yes.
But I do tell you that your brain works differently than most people. But I like it.
Yeah, pretty much. I think more laterally, so I can connect stuff together to make it make sense. But most people they want shoot vertical thinking, put you in a silo, and close the door for 1,500 years till you some kind of have science magic nonsense.
Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't mean to offend you. I wasn't comparing you to Otangelo. I was comparing you to Jonathan McClatchy. And for the record, I think if you're going to be a Christian, you've got to kind of be an evidentialist, I think. But then you're going to lose.
Yeah. So I believe in flying man too. So I just want to see some buku jutsu. I want to see some flying. So yeah, I'll accept your argument. I want to see someone fly though.
Yes, and no Christian has said that to me yet. They haven't taken my water-soaked napkin and used it against me and said, okay, Doug, if your flying man is real, someone ask him to fly for me.
Yeah, I used that water-soaked napkin as soon as I knew about it with the sodium.
Okay, Otangelo, I got to wrap things up, but thanks for coming on. Take care. And I think they got rid of that video I was looking for. I guess I'll just read the chat then. Yeah, it's just profanities. So if you're an atheist and you hear a Christian just being dodging, intellectually dishonest, number one, here's what helps. Expect that to happen. Before it even starts, expect your questions not to be answered. And then that helps. Because then, okay, wow, what happened? It was what I expected. And then if they actually answer a question directly, and say, oh, wow, now you're pleasantly surprised and you're happy. It's like eating chocolate ice cream. It's like, whoa, what a wonderful experience. 1 year only? Okay. I got to buy a new mic. I've been saying that for a long time. 105 is above average? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I understand, Theo Sib. You got to realize about me, I'm not that interested in the details of evolution, the details of a lot of things, because I'm more of a meta guy. I'm more of a big picture guy, because I've realized over the years that, and I can go deep on certain things and certain details, but I've realized that it's a very inefficient way to communicate. Unless you're having, from the onset, here's the goal. We just want to talk about a certain gene and a certain whatever. And that's it. I already got new cables, Justin, and that didn't fix anything. Have I read 1 John 1:1? Yes, Raven Princess. And Raven Princess, I have a beef with you. You tend to hit and run. You're a hit and runner. You're a tease. You're a big tease. You know that's a sin, right? You've led me on, making me think that you're going to come on, and then you always run away when I ask you to come on. Say, oh, I got to go. Got to go. I bet you anything. Watch this, Arabian Princess. Hey, Arabian Princess, you want to come on and talk about Jesus? And then in a few minutes, you're going to say, sorry, I got to go. See, it's going to happen, right? Is she smiling? Are you telling me about 1 John 1 because of the question I asked, who has seen the resurrected Jesus? I give that challenge. But my challenge is very specific. It's show me anywhere in the New Testament where someone says, I saw the resurrected Jesus. And besides Paul, I don't think there's... actually, Revelation 1 is close. But I got 1 John open right here, and I'm just going to search the word John. Well, look at that. Try this, Arabian Princess. Try bringing up the whole gospel, the whole 1 John letter. I think there's 5 chapters. And then do a Control F find for the word John, and it's not in there. Did you know that? So when you say, read 1 John 1:1, we want to tell you about his word that gives life, the one who existed before the world began. This is the one we have heard and have seen with our own eyes. Who's we? We saw what he did and our hands touched him. Who's we? Nowhere in 1 John does it say, John, a disciple of Jesus, is writing to so-and-so. And I saw Jesus, says John. Hi, Sean.
Yep. Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, yeah, I put a super chat in, but the only thing I wanted to say with Otangelo is next time he says that he has all these compelling arguments, you should say, well, who are they compelling? Because it seems he always says, oh, I find them very compelling. It's like, well, but they have to compel someone, like, besides himself. Otherwise, they're just kind of redundant. They're just,
Yeah, good point. If they compel like 1 out of 1,000 people, is it really compelling?
Yeah. So, anyways, hope you have a good week. I just wanted to drop in and say that. Sorry.
Oh, hang on. Can I show people your mustache?
Yeah, sure. I've been on here before, but I rarely get on.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's a mustache.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long does it take? How long does it take to glue that on?
It takes about like 3 weeks.
3 weeks to glue it on?
I don't shave it very often, so yeah.
But looks good. Take care.
All right.
And Brother John, sorry, Sean, I missed your super chat. And Brother John, I see yours. Doug, what if you ask Christians if they are filled with the Holy Spirit before engaging them? Then compile and compare. Well, I think most Christians would say yes. They're at least half filled up with the Holy Spirit. Has Arabian Princess said she had to go yet? John 21:24. Oh, Arabian Princess, why are you throwing me these softballs? Arabian Princess, if you want to stay a Christian, you should not be here. So we're looking for anywhere in the New Testament where someone says that they saw the risen Jesus in the first person. Verse 21, 24. That follower is the one who's telling these things. Which follower? The follower that Jesus loved. Who's the follower that Jesus loved? The disciple Jesus loved? Or is it Lazarus? He is the one who's written all this down. Who's he? We know that what he says is true. We know who's we that, and who's he. Well, maybe it says in the first chapter. Must, right? There was a man named John who was sent by God. There once was a man named PineCreek who was sent by God. This is how you give an eyewitness account. Let me demonstrate it here. Paul knows where it's at. This is how you do it. Oh, I got to go to the beginning. Greetings from Paul. Dun da da. I was chosen as an apostle. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. You say, I am Paul. I was chosen. I saw the resurrected Jesus. Jesus appeared to me. None of the Gospels do that. Well, they're not supposed to, Doug. You don't understand the genre, Doug. Okay, fine. But don't say it does it when it doesn't do it. Paul is the only one who claims to have seen the resurrected Jesus. And even then, it was a couple years after Jesus ascended into heaven, and it was definitely a vision. And same with Revelation chapter 1. There is no place in the New Testament where someone says, I saw the risen Jesus, and identifies themselves in the first person, full stop. Now, even if they did, I wouldn't, like, people claim to see a whole bunch of things that I don't believe. But I'm just making a very simple point that Christians, you got to own up to. Doug looks unhinged today. What about me looks unhinged? The scruff? John 20, 28. Are we still on this? John 20, verse 28 to 29. This is not Thomas writing. This is an author quoting Thomas. Right? So this would be better. Let me bring this up. This would be better if it said, I, Thomas, said to Jesus, my Lord, my God. Like, this is... I don't understand how people don't get this. Can someone explain to me why Christians don't get this? Is anybody here claiming that Thomas wrote this? Is there any Christian on planet Earth who claims that John 20, verse 28 was written by a guy named Thomas? Anyone? Like, what's wrong with you guys? Just admit it. This is what you need to... I need to make a creed. Let me do this. That for Christians to recite. Let's do it together, okay? For once and for all. We're gonna make a creed. Because Christians like creeds. My favorite font is Estanglo Edisa. Christian Creed. recite daily. There is no one in the New Testament who, in the first person, identifies themselves and states that they saw the risen Jesus, other than Paul, and that was years after Jesus apparently ascended. Okay, so every Christian on the planet recite this creed daily. There is no one in the New Testament who, in the first person, identifies themselves and states that they saw the risen Jesus in the first person, other than Paul, and that was years after Jesus apparently ascended. Now, there's one caveat, and I think this is the only place, and that's Revelation chapter 1. But that is clearly a vision like Paul's. Okay? Every Christian, pin this on your fridge. Print this out. Screen capture this. Print it out and say it. And I don't know how else to explain this to you, because you know this is true. You know it. You know it, you know it, you know it, and your mind prevents you from saying it out loud, I guess. It's really bizarre how there's this thing in your brain that prevents you from acknowledging this. A smart, non-needy, secure Christian can admit this. I've seen it done. No, they'll make excuses and say, but that's not the way things were done back then. Okay, fine. All I'm asking is you admit this. There is no one in the New Testament who in the first person identifies themselves and states that they saw the risen Jesus other than Paul. And that was years after Jesus apparently ascended. So that's a vision. And Revelation 1, you could say that as well. And I'll stay a little longer, start throwing me verses where it has to meet this criteria, where they identify themselves in the first person like Paul did, and says that they saw the risen Jesus. And if you mention the Gospel of John, you have been just indoctrinated in listening to your pastor, preacher, apologist. It's not there. Same with this. Like, there are people who say that Luke, in the Gospel of Luke, interviewed eyewitnesses. There's some Christians that, yeah, Doug, it's not in the text. It never says that Luke interviewed eyewitnesses. It's not there. Read the first chapter of Luke. It's just it's very similar to the whole idea of Eve took the apple and bit into it in Genesis. The apple's not there. It's as simple as that. Or it says that that Satan was in the form of a snake in the garden. It's not there. It was a serpent, which is different. Similar, but different. What I'm saying here in this creed, as Vanna White would do, the creed, what? Here's my creed. That's hard to do, man. I could never be Vanna White. It's hard for you guys to admit this. And sure, Andrew Selby says tradition says he did. Yeah, tradition, schmedition. I'm talking about the New Testament. Yeah, good point. Nowhere does it say that Satan was actually the serpent too, right? It's amazing how Christians import this stuff into their brain. I said, other than Paul, Jan Yigna. When Paul says that Peter saw the risen Jesus, that's not the same as Peter saying, I saw the risen Jesus. That's called hearsay. I mean, my respect for Christians would go sky high if they could admit this creed. And the thing is, it's not a big deal. It shouldn't affect your faith. I just want you to admit this. So again, take a screen capture, post this on your fridge. Actually, we should make a bumper sticker out of this. Is the intellectual dishonesty winding you up? Yeah, but you notice I'm not doing this with a person with me. See, I get what you're doing here, Nathan. I know what you're doing. But I will allow myself to get wound up when it's not personal with a person sitting right here. Now, I have done that. I have gotten wound up with people, especially with people who say certain things about my family. But there's no one here I'm talking personally to, face to face. I almost said something bad about Colleen just now, earlier, but I refrained myself. I reined myself in. Matthew 28:16. Colleen, you're making me cry. Oh. Can someone help me? Colleen, do you know what first person means? Do you know what this means? I think you do. Like, if this is first person. I am drinking this water. I am looking at the wall over there. That's first person, okay, Colleen? This is second person. But this is not first person. I'm going to do a whole bunch of things here. This is not first person. My wife is drinking water. My wife is looking at the wall. They are drinking water. They are looking at the wall. He is drinking water. He is looking at the wall. Here, those are examples of not first person, Colleen. And what you gave me in Matthew 28:16 is not first person. So at this point, you should say, Doug, you're right. And I will recite this creed daily. You know how many people I'm leading away from Christianity right now? They're actually coming to this realization. Hey, Doug, what about 2 Peter 1:16? Yes, good one. I've looked into that. Thank you, Jan Yigna, however you say your last name. 2 Peter 1:16. Now, remember what the creed says, seeing the risen Jesus. We told you about the power of the Lord Jesus Christ. Hang on. Why isn't that coming up? You might be right. This could be one. We told you about the power of our Lord Jesus Christ. We told you about his coming. The things we told you were not just clever stories that people invented. No, we saw the greatness of Jesus in our eyes. See? There's an assumption here that the greatness of Jesus is the resurrection. What if it's talking about just Jesus' ministry? Now, look at this. Look at the title. We saw Christ's glory. Well, that's importing an idea, isn't it? But let's go to 2 Peter, the whole chapter. Greetings from Simon Peter. Yes, this is how it's done. Now, let's do 2 Peter. How many chapters are there? Is it just one? 3. Let's go Control F. The word rise. Surprise? No. Raised? No. Resurrected? No. Death? No. I'm searching. I'm looking for anything that says that Jesus rose from the dead and that's Peter saw it. Rose? No. Yeah, if it's the transfiguration, that's not the resurrection of Jesus. I got all of 2 Peter up here, and I am not finding Peter saying that he saw the risen Jesus. Does anybody else see it? Risen? Nothing. Jesus will come again. Am I shocking any Christians here? Are they like, oh, thank you for the donation, Nicholas. Dear, hey, Doug, it was great talking to you. So glad to hear you made it out of the ER all right. Just stopped by to buy you dinner and tell you God bless you. Glad you're still hanging in there. Well, Nicholas, thank you for the donation, but the $20, as generous as it is, usually just buys me dessert. But it's a good dessert. Me and my wife celebrated our anniversary, and oh, man. Yeah. $60 a plate, at least, before taxes. Tell ya. Thanks, Obama, for the inflation. Was it Obama's fault? Who's president? I forget. Any other Christians want to give me a try? I mean, I'm still looking. Besides Paul, is there anybody who claims in the first person to have seen the risen Jesus? Why are so many bots out? They're finding, they usually come out when there's like several hundred people watching. Any Christians? Anyone? Nicholas? Anyone? You're shocked now, right? 1 Peter. Okay, let's try 1 Peter. 1 Peter is I'm surprised it's taken this so long to get there. 1 Peter talks about being a witness of Christ's suffering, but not the resurrection. Here, look at this. Greetings from Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ. This is how it's done, folks. This is an eyewitness account to God's chosen people, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to bring up the whole book of 1 Peter. How many chapters does it have? It has 5. I'm going to do Control F, the word rise. Nothing. They're surprised. Raised. Here's one. You believe in God through Christ. God is the one who raised him from death and gave honor to him. But you notice it does not say that Peter saw the risen Jesus here. Well, Doug, it says in the other gospel. It does not say that Peter himself in the first person saw the risen Jesus. In fact, any Christian on the planet could say this. Colleen, you could say the same thing Peter said here, and yet you didn't see Jesus' bodily resurrection. It saves you because Jesus Christ was raised from the death. It doesn't say that Jesus saw the risen Jesus. And here in the book of Peter, Colleen could say this. And that's the word praised. So let's keep looking. You got to recite this creed, Christians, and the doubts will creep in. Your whole religion is based on Paul. This is why apologists and historians like Mike Licona, when he debates the resurrection of Jesus, he uses only Paul. This is exactly why. Because he realizes that he has no first-person accounts anywhere else. If you have a verse and want to show me wrong, tag me. I will admit here on screen if I'm wrong. What I'm looking for is what Paul said. Other than Paul, who says that the risen Jesus appeared to them? In the first person. And I am proposing no one. Except the author of Revelation, but even then, that's clearly a vision in Revelation 1. I think it's clearly a vision. But I might give you Revelation chapter 1. How about Jesus' favorite disciple told Peter, Colleen, do you not get it? It's the Lord, John 21:7. Who wrote that, Colleen? Who wrote John 21:7? Who is Jesus' favorite disciple? Does he identify himself in the first person? The answer is no. You have to come to grips with this. Colleen? Do you know there's Christians today who believe that Lazarus is the disciple who Jesus loved? And not John? Like even Christians don't know, or they dispute this. And of course, those evil secular New Testament historians, they don't believe for 1 second the disciple John wrote the Gospel of John. Did Mike Winger block me? Yeah. Did I spell caveat wrong? Oh, I did want it capitalized. There we go. PineCreek, picky. Well, look at the creed. The creed is picky. There is no one in the New Testament who in the first person identifies themselves and states they saw the risen Jesus, other than Paul. As far in how long we've been talking about this, so far this is factually true. This is factually true. Can I get a Christian to admit this? Because this is not, we're not even talking about theology here or anything. This is just, does the text say this or not? Yes, Andrew, I agree. That's fine, but I'm looking for it. Maybe you can help me, Andrew. Is there anybody other than Paul who states their name in the first person and says they saw the resurrected Jesus? I'm anywhere in the New Testament. Enough beating a dead horse yet? Well, might be. I'm still getting pushback. I'm not sure why people are pushing back on this. This, to me, is like a no-brainer. Oh, Jude. Maybe it's in Jude. I haven't looked at Jude in a while. Greetings from Jude, servant of Jesus Christ. Okay, that criteria 1, first person. Mercy and peace. God will punish those who do wrong. Warnings of things to do. Praise God. There's only one chapter in Jude, right? Search for the word rise. Raised. No. Jesus. Jesus. John 21:24. We've already looked at that one, Happy Kev. Nowhere in John 21:24 does it say in the first person who wrote that and that they saw the risen Jesus. It's fascinating, isn't it, Nathan? Are you still here, Nathan? I know what you mean now about with Otangelo. You clearly say something that's factually true, and people will push back against it. Amazing. No, I don't need to do that, J. Chris. I already know the basics of the church fathers. The reason why people say what Jesus said was because a guy named Eusebius in the 4th century, 5th century, 4th century, said that a guy named Papias in the 2nd century said that a guy named John, which we're not sure which name John it was, says that a guy named Mark says that a guy named Peter says that a guy named Jesus said something. This is how you know what Jesus said. You know what Jesus said because a guy named Eusebius says, a guy named Papias says, a guy named John says, a guy named Matthew says, a guy named Jesus said this. That's how you know. Am I on the spectrum? I don't think so. Well, everybody's on a spectrum because the spectrum is like pretty big. Notice how they won't call in. Oh yeah, by the room is open. First Peter 3:21-22, and this is because Jesus Christ was raised from the death, and now Jesus had gone. Yeah, Jan Yigna. Okay, good try. Nice try. Let's bring that up. Jan, are you a Christian? Just curious. Okay. Jan is saying that this is first-person evidence of someone saying they saw the risen Jesus. And that water is like baptism, which now saves you. Baptism is not the body. It's asking God. It saves you because Jesus Christ was raised from the death. Now he has gone into heaven. He is a God. Okay. Any Christian on planet Earth could say the exact same thing without seeing the resurrected body of Jesus. Jan, you could say this. Does that mean you saw Jesus' body? No. As far as I can tell, nowhere in 1 Peter does it say that Peter says, I, Peter, like at the beginning of the book, saw the resurrected Jesus. Okay, we've got a Christian who wants to come in. Hey, Andrew.
Hey.
Are you a Christian?
I am a Christian.
Okay. Do you agree with my creed?
I don't know. I haven't examined all the New Testament. I would say that I take that the New Testament authors are set or who they say they are. So I would disagree in that sense.
Oh, but I'm saying that the authors of the Gospels at least don't even say who they are.
Yeah, that's true. But Holy Tradition says who they say they are. So I take that view.
Okay, so you agree with the early church fathers. You agree that Eusebius says that, Papias says that, John says that, Mark says that, Jesus says. You follow, or Peter says that Jesus says. You just agree with that, whatever the first.
Yeah, succession. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you do from there? I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I'm not interested in talking about that, but if you want to talk about something different.
Okay. Why are you a Christian?
I don't see how to justify things like logic, transcendentals, anything like that. It just doesn't make sense in an atheistic, materialistic worldview.
So you're saying it's either atheism or Christianity and nothing else?
No, but there's problems with different types of religions.
Could all the religions of the world be wrong and a God be the preconditions of intelligibility?
I don't see how that would follow from there being love in the world. I don't see why that God would keep himself hidden.
For morally sufficient reasons, let's say.
You would have to describe a morally sufficient reason.
Really? You need to know it first? Careful. I'm setting a trap for you and you're walking right into it.
Yeah.
Because then I could say that for the problem of evil, right? Unless God tells me every reason for every evil, I'm justified not believing in him. That's kind of what I'm hearing from you right now. So if there's a God, a creator God of the universe who wants to stay hidden for morally sufficient reasons, what would you say to that?
Then there is no way for me to know him.
That's right. Maybe he does. Maybe he does not want to be known by you. Maybe he doesn't care about you.
Then that doesn't follow from why why we all observe morality and all these kinds of things.
What if this God just set the ball in motion? Evolution is true, and that morality is a human construct. We just label things as good and bad according to what we desire.
If evolution is true, then we would have no way of knowing what is true.
Maybe that's true.
No way.
Maybe that is the fact. And you just got to live with it.
Yeah, you can't argue from that position now.
Why not?
Because you admit that there's no way of knowing truth.
Well,
in a random chaotic universe.
Well, it depends what you mean by no. If you mean like Cartesian certainty, or do you mean just we have good reasons to think something's true? But I think you can say that we can still have meaning with certain words like truth and reality, even if we can't know it with certainty. Right?
Yeah, I'd have to think about it, but
you don't really believe in Christianity is true because of these reasons, do you? That it has to be true, otherwise we can't make sense of morality or logic. Is that the real reason?
I mean, there's other personal reasons. Yeah, those aren't going to be convincing to your audience or to you or anything like that.
What do you think would be convincing to my audience?
I think logical proofs are kind of the only thing that would.
Really? No. You think logical proofs changes people's hearts and minds?
No, I think people are. I think people make decisions based on feelings and emotions, and then they justify them with logic.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But if you take away their justification, then they're left wondering.
But you realize how many hard-hearted people are watching right now? And
a lot of them. I've spoken to a lot of them.
Yeah, they're not gonna believe you any logical. If you start spouting every philosophical argument for God from the Kalam to ontological, come on, let's be honest. Both of us know that that's not going to move the needle with any of these guys, right?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything I can do for that. All I'm here to do is give a defense for my belief.
I think there is something you can do.
Yeah.
That would persuade them.
Is it the napkin thing?
Yeah.
Is it the wet napkin trick?
It's not a trick. Elijah, well, unless you say Elijah did tricks in 1 Kings 18.
Yeah, if I did a magic trick, if I hired a magician to perform that.
No, but we're not.
If you couldn't tell the difference, that would.
Okay, but you're over there. I'm over here, and I'm drinking water. I'm not trying to trick myself.
But what if I had hired a magician to plant
what?
A wet napkin that was actually set to go off or something.
Well, look at this. He couldn't.
I don't think
he couldn't have planted it. I just pulled this randomly from my own stash here. Here's water.
Yeah.
I just drank from it. I'll drink from it again. Here's a napkin. I'm not trying to trick anyone.
Yeah, I don't. I have a hard time buying that would change.
You know why? Why do you think you have a hard time buying that would happen? Or that would change people's minds.
Because your presuppositions don't allow for that to be the case. So you'd have to come.
How do you know that?
Because your presuppositions most atheist presuppositions are that everything's.
Why don't you ask me first?
I've listened to you.
Ask me right now.
Okay, what's your worldview?
No, ask me about this napkin. The question you want to ask me is, do you believe miracles are possible, right?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yes. Okay? Yes, I think miracles are possible. There's nothing logically impossible about it. Now, what we currently believe about the laws of nature, this would go against. And if you say in the name of Jesus to light this on fire, and it instantaneously does, my brain is I'm a pattern-seeking mammal. I will look at this and say, wow, that's amazing. This is something that no one, not even me, I don't think anyone on the planet has ever seen. And you did it in the name of Jesus, and right instantly it happened. I will put the two together and say, my confidence in Christianity has gone up sky high. My whole worldview would be shattered, and all this logical, philosophical stuff you can throw in the garbage because now you've demonstrated something. Now, could I be wrong? Could you be wrong? Could this been done by some type of trick? Yes, but we're not trying to trick each other. It goes against the laws of nature. You spoke it in the name of Jesus. It happened. How could this not move people?
Well, I mean, there's the miracle of the holy fire that happens every year at Pascha. And that doesn't really seem to change people's minds. So,
well, that's because it's in the past.
No. It happens every year.
Okay. Well, this is good. Where is it?
Every year. It happens at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, in the tomb of Christ.
And what exactly happens?
Well, it's the miracle of the holy light. So different things happen every year, but a priest goes into a cave. Either a Jewish person or a Muslim has inspected the cave and inspected the priest beforehand. They go into the cave, they come out.
Okay, so it's not open to the public?
There's a bunch of people right outside the cave. And
come on.
There are miracles that happen to those people.
This is like saying.
But again, this isn't.
But Andrew,
yeah,
let's be.
You're going to come up with a.
No, you're telling me they go in a cave, and people are outside the cave, and you're saying, okay, they go in the cave and they see what?
They see a light flashing, and then they come out with candles that have.
Who sees the light flashing? The people in the cave?
Sometimes people in the cave, sometimes the people outside the cave.
Okay, and so let me get this straight. A priest goes in a cave and he sees the light flash and he comes back and tells them that God did it?
No, he comes out with fire and he lights people's candles and stuff, and they take that back and it goes throughout the
You think that's even close to my water-soaked napkin? My water-soaked napkin is way more amazing than that.
Predictably, it happens every year.
I'm willing to bet my whole net worth that if you and I were to go in that cave together with video crews from different news organizations all around the world, different biases, we would see nothing happen. We would see a priest light up a torch. Has any news organization ever gone in?
Presupposition.
No.
That proves my point.
This is my hypothesis. I'll ask you a question. Has any Has any have several news organizations gone into that cave before with the priest when this happens?
Just the priest goes in there.
Oh, come on. This sounds so shady, Andrew. Just the priest goes in. Well, isn't that convenient?
He's checked before.
This is like me saying
by a Muslim or a Jew.
This is like you doing this. Here's the towel. Okay, in the name of Jesus, light the water soaked down. But oh, it lit. It lit. See, I know I can't show you guys. This is the cave. I can't show you, but it lit. Oh, now it's out. Okay. Well.
No, he comes out and his torch is lit.
Oh. What would be the second best explanation for that?
It's not the second best.
Yeah.
You would have to say that throughout all of history, all these priests have lied about it.
What's more probable? That they lied about it? Or that God actually is in the habit of lighting up torches?
And no one's come clean about it. No one's talked about it. I don't know.
How do you know no one's come clean about it? Maybe some people have. And then the Vatican offed them.
Well, the Catholics actually don't participate.
Or just say they're lying.
I don't know. Has anyone?
I'm asking you, like, how do you know that some priests haven't come out and said this is fake?
I brought this to you because this kind of proves the point that you are going to take a naturalistic approach.
No.
Versus.
No. This is
versus saying that's
what I'm saying is that this is a horrible miracle story. What I'm saying is I think you have to even feel gross about even telling it. A priest goes into a cave by himself and comes out with a lit torch. Like, don't you feel dirty just saying that? He goes into a cave by himself. And that's where the miracle happens, where nobody can verify it and see it. He goes into a cave himself. Like, you don't feel icky just saying that?
And this is going to be the sometimes people's torches light up by themselves. So
in the cave by themselves.
No. Outside the cave.
Okay, now we're talking. So outside the cave, some people have had their torches light by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what evidence do we have of that?
We don't have evidence of that. That's the thing. You can't have evidence of miraculous things, of supernatural things. You can't have evidence of it.
Why not?
Because it's supernatural. You can only have evidence of natural phenomena.
So there's no evidence for the resurrection of Jesus?
Not that is going to satisfy.
So you can have evidence, but it's just not satisfactory evidence.
Yeah, so we can have like secondhand accounts. We can have firsthand accounts. We can. Those are evidences, but those you're not going to accept those because of your presuppositions.
So you can have evidence. It's just evidence that's not accepted.
Evidence that you won't accept, yeah.
But others will.
Yeah.
Okay. And I won't accept that evidence if I see it because
your presuppositions are always going to look for a naturalistic explanation over a supernatural explanation.
Okay, I just told you that I believe miracles are possible. There's nothing logically impossible about it.
So why don't you believe the miracle?
Because the evidence isn't sufficient. You got one guy going into a cave by himself.
Yeah.
There's no way to verify that.
You can't have it.
Even
if this was caught on film, you would just say that those people doctored the film.
Here's how you would verify this. And I already said it. You get people of different biases.
The Jews and the Muslims, yeah, we have that in there.
Jews, Muslims, atheists, Hindus, secularists, pagans. You get different news organizations with cameras. You get scientists in tested conditions. Okay.
How are they going to test conditions for supernatural explanations?
Oh, but the test is whether this thing lit on its own or not through incantation or whatever.
How are you going to test for that? How are you going to test if it's an incantation or some other explanation? It could
same way as my water soap napkin. You test for it by saying, okay, is this a napkin that's just a pure cellulose wood? Is there any combustibles in here besides just is there anything that can spontaneous? Yeah. You test it. What is it? What am I holding? You take it through.
And then if those tests all came back and someone concluded that it was supernatural cause, or I can't figure out the explanation, how many people do you think are going to believe that?
I think a
Or
lot.
are they just going to write off? Are they just going to write off?
No,
that
no,
person
Andrew,
and say that
listen
they
to me.
were-
I think a lot, but here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if we can test whether this is just a normal napkin or not, we can test if something's water or not, pure water or not. We can soak it. We have machines that can do this. We can have different
But
people.
there's water that lights on fire. People have done it in their sinks because of those other gases and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not pure water then, right? It's something.
Oxygen is in water, so someone would come to a conclusion that something with the oxygen. That's all I was trying to prove by bringing that up, is that you're always going to take a naturalistic.
You don't know that,
over the supernatural.
Andrew. You don't know that, and the way you.
But you just proved that to me.
No, I told you that I would. My whole worldview would be shattered if this happened.
Yeah.
You don't believe me, though,
know.
do you?
I don't know about. I don't. No.
You know how we can solve this problem? I'm saying one thing, you're disagreeing. We can solve this right now. By trying it. And if my water soap napkin lights on fire right now, and I say, "Oh, you got into my house somehow, you trickster," I will say, "You are right. You can tell me I told you so, Doug, and that's that. But let's try it first before you just assume of how I will react." Do you honestly think that you would take a guy like me walking through a cemetery, pray for in the name of Jesus, that someone I know who's been dead for years will bubble up through the soil and rise from the dead? You seriously think I'll just brush that off? No one, I mean, everybody on the planet, I'm sure of it, they're going to be freaked out.
But no one else is going to believe you.
Well, this
right?
is, yes, okay, this is
That's
a good
the
point.
thing.
This is a good point. This is, if I was Jesus, this is what I would do. If it's true that Jesus wants none to perish, this is what I would do if I was Jesus. I would come back every 3 months to Earth, and I would go into a different country every 3 months, and I would raise the dead under tested conditions. I would announce it ahead of time. On such and such a date, at such a time, at such and such a place, I will raise this person who's been dead for years from the dead. They'll be raised. And then everybody can do whatever they want to try to verify and prove me wrong, whatever. But I'm Jesus, I'm God, I can do what I want. Do it. And then 3 months later, do it in a different country. 3 months later, do it in a different country. And sure, I agree with you, Andrew. There's going to be some people who are stubborn and they refuse to believe. But I guarantee you, Christianity would go from 2 billion, well, they're not true Christians, we all know that, it would skyrocket. Because
what is it?
We have a miracle is going to take place in the future at this moment, at this time. We can set up our testing conditions. We can even put like machines and cameras underneath the soil. We can make sure we got the dental records. This person's dead. We got the DNA, and then they come back to life and match the DNA, and he's alive.
I don't think anyone would believe it unless they witness it for themselves. I don't think they would take secondhand accounts.
Well, you might be right, but what I'm proposing, potentially everybody on the planet, if maybe not every 3 months, but if God, who doesn't get tired except for the Sabbath day, I guess, he could do this every day all around the world, and he could probably choose a cemetery where thousands or tens of thousands of people could see it with their own eyes every time. Like, this would be way better evidence than your early church fathers. This would be way better evidence than what we have in the New Testament. And I don't know why your God doesn't do this.
What does the Bible say about a generation that's asked for miracles?
Only an idolatrous nation asks for signs and miracles.
Yeah.
Isn't that a convenient excuse for what this God apparently did for people in the first century? He did signs and wonders for people for Lazarus in the Gospel of John. Many cold, hard-hearted Jews believed because he raised Lazarus. He did it for many people in the Gospels.
Yeah, he did it, but it's talking about a wicked generation seeks out this stuff. So
yeah,
just
but
because he came and performed it doesn't mean that.
Doesn't God want the wicked people to not be wicked?
Yeah.
Wouldn't one good way to get wicked people to not be wicked is show them firsthand a miraculous sign that would change their mind?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think people would even there's people that acknowledge God but still hate him, and I think that would be the case for.
Well, how do you get people to stop hating God then?
I don't know if I can do that. It's there's free will. You have to show love and kindness to people.
But if someone's adamant to hate God, are you saying it's hopeless for them?
That is pretty difficult to change.
But God can do it, right? All things are possible through Christ.
Yeah, I mean,
you only think God can do it?
I'm hopeful. I consider myself a hopeful universalist. So I hope everyone will be saved in the end, but I just can't know for sure.
You're a hopeful universalist. Why are you hopeful that everybody goes to heaven? Aren't you for justice?
I think everyone should have a chance to repent. I don't.
Well, they do now, right?
They do now. Yeah, it's much easier to repent when.
So why are you
your physical body?
Why do you hope universalism is true then? Because they had their chance now, and then if they don't take their chance, then they have to experience justice.
Because I'm not heartless.
You think hell is heartless?
I think the way a lot of Protestants view hell is heartless.
But what is hell to you?
To me, yeah, hell would be like forcing people who hate God to be in church for the rest of eternity. Would that be hell for you?
Oh yeah, so you're saying hell's not that bad then?
No,
it's giving people what they want.
Yeah, it's kind of giving people what they want, but it's like when your will and your nature are opposed to each other.
But you said, I'm a hopeful universalist because I'm not heartless. But if hell is giving people what they desire, how is that being heartless? I mean, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, so I mean, I hope that everyone would see the light and turn to it.
Why? But if they don't want it, you'd be heartless to be a universalist. You're forcing people into heaven that don't want to be there. You're being heartless by being a universalist.
Everyone's being forced into heaven. With my view of
you believe everyone's forced into heaven?
Well, heaven's more. Well, I guess not really, but like heaven and hell aren't places in my view.
What are they?
So it's experiences. So it's I think the experience of heaven is the same energies, the same love of God that people who hate God experience. So
no, but after you die, is there an experience of heaven? Or
yeah,
does it involve real bodies?
Yeah, there's a resurrection, bodily resurrection.
Okay, if there's real bodies, and that means after you die, it has to be in a space-time continuum of some sort, right?
After the final judgment, there's the bodily resurrection.
Right, but where do those bodies live?
On the new earth.
Okay, so heaven does exist, and it's here on earth, and everybody's going to go there.
Yeah,
whether they like it or not.
To enjoy it, yeah. So I think. Yeah, and the church is going to be made the whole earth. So if you don't like church, then you're going to not like
heaven. So you have no choice but to stay in heaven.
Yeah.
Well, that's heartless. Not giving people the free will to exit. Either way, if hell or heaven, it seems like it's heartless.
How's it heartless?
Well, you just said that people will have no choice to be forced to go to heaven.
Yeah, they're forced to experience love.
What if they don't want to experience that love?
Then that's hell.
Yeah, but what if they desire that hell?
Then they can experience that hell.
Yeah, there you go. But I heard you say that they don't have a choice. They have to go to heaven.
I don't know if you're quite getting what I was saying.
I don't think you quite even know what you believe.
I do know what I believe.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. So I think if people were to see miracles and still reject, that would be hardening their heart even more to God. So there's like, what kind of love is a love? Like, if I have to prove my love to my fiance, what kind of love is that? Does she really love me if I have to prove it to her?
Yes. You should prove your love to your fiance. Demonstrate in some way. Yes. Your fiance should not love you just by faith.
Proof. She's seeking out.
Yes,
proof,
your fiance should seek out demonstrable proof that you love her. And if she doesn't, she should not marry you.
I think there's a difference between recognizing where there's love and saying, "Oh, you have to do this for me, otherwise you don't love me. You have to raise the dead for me, otherwise you have to light this napkin on fire, otherwise." I think there's a difference.
Well, what is love to you? Being patient, being kind, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the worst possible situations, being there for them. So if your fiance does not see any demonstration of you being patient with her, kind with her, standing by her in her most difficult times, she has good evidence to think that maybe you don't love her, right?
There's a difference between recognizing that and demanding me to do certain things to prove that I love her.
So you're saying that you should never demand things of God?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not demanding that he would light up my water soap napkin. All I'm saying is if he doesn't do it, then I'm not going to believe. It's up to him.
Yes. Okay. So
it's up to him. The ball's in his court.
That's the same thing. Say, like my fiance saying, if you don't take me out to dinner on Tuesday night at 7:00, then I don't love you.
Well, if that's,
I'm not going to love you.
But if that's
is that would you love someone back that demanded stuff like that of you?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not asking God to love me or me to love him. All I want to see is he real? Your fiance, we can figure out if she's real or not very easily. Right?
This might be a secondhand proof, but
yeah. But there's no doubt that your fiance is there.
Yeah, but it's not the same kind of love if it's demanding of signs and wonders.
So you're saying that if there's a demanding, it can't be real love.
It's definitely yeah. It's not the fullness of
Does
love.
God demand you to love him?
No, he doesn't demand it.
Isn't it a command by God for you to love him and obey his commands?
If I love him, I will follow his commands.
Does God command you to love him? Yes or no?
I mean,
doesn't God demand things of you? To obey him and to love him? To love your neighbor as yourself?
If I love him, yeah.
Yeah. You see the problem here? I just showed you. You just said that real love doesn't demand things, but your God demands things of you. Not just politely requests. No, he's given you commandments to love and obey him. These are commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and strength. Now, would a real loving God do that? Command that you love him?
Why wouldn't he?
Because you just said real love doesn't demand things.
No, it's like a conditional thing. So God still loves me regardless of whether I do these things. Right? That's the difference. It's not conditional for his love. He's still going to love me whether I do these things or not.
You sure about that?
But yeah.
You don't think God has wrath?
I think wrath is like a parent being corrective. to a child to save their immortal souls from experiencing hell.
The wrath is upon those who are not God's children.
Yup.
Yeah. So God doesn't love everyone.
What do you mean? When a parent spanks a child, does he not love that child then?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that some people are not God's children. Right?
Yeah, that's the way that you explain. Like I'm of this person, and
or do you believe everybody's God's children?
I mean, it depends on what you mean by God's children. That's what it comes down to. I think that's an expression that has had different meanings in the past and what we view it now.
I think your view of God is a very touchy-feely Disney God.
No. I mean,
you've read the Old Testament, right? That God curses people.
Mm-hmm.
That he kills people who don't obey him. Even in the New Testament, God killed Ananias and Sapphira for just not lying about their tithes and offerings.
Yeah.
He'll wipe people out.
God allows every death to happen, so I don't.
Yeah. He demands things of people, and if they don't do it, he kills them. We have that in the Bible. God commanding things, humans being rebellious, God kills them or curses them or doesn't help them at least. Bad things happen. That's the story of the Old Testament.
Yeah,
you obey
to bring people to repentance.
If you obey, God rewards, and if you disobey, God curses.
No,
that's the story of
it. If you obey God, there's been plenty of Christian martyrs that would disagree that they.
No, I'm talking about the Old Testament here. Yeah, the New Testament has a different
same
message.
thing with Job. Job's one of the oldest stories, and Job is all about.
But do you deny that God punishes those who don't obey him and rewards people who do in the Old Testament?
I mean, there's cases of it, but there's cases like Job where it doesn't follow the same way. So,
okay,
Job obeyed God and was afflicted with many things.
Like, look at the story of the flood. Why did all those people die? Because none were righteous except for Noah's family.
Mm-hmm.
God killed those people because of their unrighteousness and saved Noah because of his righteousness.
Yeah, that's an instance of that.
He demands things of people, and if they don't follow through, there's consequences.
That's how parenting works.
That's how parenting works. Demanding.
You demand things of your children.
You demand love.
There's consequences. And why? No, you don't demand love.
God demands love. I don't know why you.
If you love me, you will do my commandments.
Do I have to bring the scriptures up with you?
You can if you want.
Matthew 22:37. Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind."
Is that asking how someone can be saved?
It's not asking a darn thing. It's making a
context. What is he saying that to?
He's saying that to the disciples and anybody else who was in earshot.
What's the
You seriously are now questioning whether God commands that you love him? Are you being serious right now?
I mean, I know the commandments that you should love your God. It's not the same way that you're using demands love.
When God tells you to do something, you're saying that's not God demanding something of you.
No, that's demanding something of you. Yeah.
There you go. God demands your love.
Yeah, he wants to. Yeah.
There you go.
Us to love him. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. You said
so
earlier.
Why is that bad?
You said earlier True love doesn't demand things, doesn't demand love. Yet your God did that.
No, that's not what I.
Do I have
I
to
believe what I said earlier was that true love doesn't demand you to perform certain things conditionally for you to love that person.
Love's
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Love's an action. When God demands your love, he's asking you to do actions for him. Like obedience.
Mm-hmm.
So what you could say, let me help you out here. What you could say is, God can demand love and actions of people, but we can't. Just special plead. That's all you have to do, and you're out of this.
No, I don't. I mean, I can demand of my fiance not to cheat of me, right? That's a demand, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I got to run and pick up my my daughter from school.
Okay. Gotta show that you love her.
Yes, a demonstration of my love. Picking her up from school. Well, it's been fun.
All right.
Take care.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy. Never knew what hit him. Why do I do this to myself? 3 hours and 15 minutes? My dog is lonely, demanding my love. I think I've talked to this guy in the comment section before. That's why I gave him a little extra time. His fiance needs to get out of Dodge. He's already bought the ring, though. Oh, Colleen, you were waiting? Yeah, I really got to go. But I really like this creed I made. Screen capture this, Christians. Put it on your... Screen capture this and put it on your fridge.